ALGS Summer Circuit has arrived. All across the globe, top regional leaders go head-to-head for the first time as they compete for their share of a $500,000 prize pool. To get you ready for the action, why don't we talk about how participating teams qualify for the playoffs in September? Beginning June 20th, the ALGS Summer Circuit is an intense 4-month, 6-event series. To begin, we've combined our 8 regions into 4 super regions. The Americas, comprised of North and South America. APAC North, featuring Japan and Korea. APAC South, comprised of Australia, New Zealand, and Greater Southeast Asia. And last but not least, EMEA, comprised of Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. During these Summer Circuit weekend events, teams will play in their regional open stage on Saturdays, with the highest-ranking teams in each region advancing to the super regional stage on Sunday. While ALGS points are earned by teams in the super regional and regional stages, only the top 3 teams in each super region will earn a share of the weekly cash prize, as well as a spot in their super regional Summer Circuit playoffs. In addition to those 3 teams, all top 10 teams in a super regional stage will qualify to begin the next Summer Circuit online tournament in the super regional stage, bypassing the need to qualify through their region. After the last official Summer Circuit match finishes on August 9th, we'll have learned which 16 teams have qualified for the playoffs by either having placed top 3 in a super regional stage or by topping the leaderboard in ALGS points earned throughout the Summer Circuit. That leaves one final shot for teams to earn their way into the playoffs, the last chance qualifier. Remaining teams will clash within their individual regions, with only 2 teams in each region securing the last coveted open spot in the Summer Circuit playoffs. Those playoffs will take place on September 12th and 13th. Now, it's time for regional rivalries to be born. For these teams to step up and represent their home turf. Time for the dropships to load up with familiar squad mates and new recruits looking to make their mark. Who is going to get first blood? Who is going to make it to the final ring? And who will lay claim to the title of Super Regional Champions? Hit the jets, we're dropping hot. It's time for the ALGS Summer Circuit.
Here we go again.
the weather starts to shift and you get that summer solstice, which is pretty close right near the longest day of the year, you know it's time for a new tournament to start. It's the Super Regionals kicking off in Apex Legends, where more and more talents are coming together to showcase who is the best in the business at competing at this battle royale, at being last alive. And it's Rain Day and Bravo taking through Game 1 along with the crew production team, working from home to bring it all to you alongside these pros. I cannot wait. We're on World's Edge, and boy, oh boy, there's just so much to get into.
Dude, I really can't wait. This is going to be a fantastic set of games here for both Super Regionals today. And as I said at the top of the show, I don't even know where to begin in terms of the storylines that we have coming into Super Regional number 1 for EMEA. And the best place might be, Rain, just to talk about some of the rosters that we have here as we are getting right into game number 1. And actually, we're starting off with a team that's one of the best names, I think, in the whole tournament on Flying Camels. That is Pinky Finky Tinky. He is their pathfinder.
I don't want to joke about it, because I think, there may be some humor in that, or those just may be some serious names. But Pinky and Tinky, I'm rooting for you guys. Pinky, Finky, Tinky, I'm rooting for the domination early on. And so far, Pinky, Finky, Tinky taking it to them with the L-Star on top. This is how you started off, with a name, with a play. Oh boy, EMEA looking good to start, bro.
And they actually take down Joke. That's on ggvale, who actually are the team that qualified 3rd in their semifinal, team with a few controller players and very highly ranked Apex Predators, especially if you look at Nags, number 1 ranked Predator in the last split, and also Joke, number 7 ranked. So we saw on Twitter a little bit of talk from EMEF talking about how Mirage was open in Europe, and now we see 2 teams did try to go for that. This is what we were talking about, folks. There's also some battles around Epicenter as well early game.
Yeah. Crouchy's looking to try to find a melee kill, and he does. He takes Jazaz down, and that's Draconian with the triple take, just peeking left side. He doesn't have a shield, which is the important thing, but he's going to find one right now. And unfortunately, that shield swap doesn't leave him with anything as well. He's still looking for that last member, and that should do it. And it's not actually going to eliminate a squad, so there's still a few lurking around. Still 20 squads left, although we have only 57 players now, as a few members from a few teams have been picked off. And the rest of them, as you can see, Biting as well here, just biding his time as Joke and his teammate Nags have fallen at Mirage Voyage. He'll have to try to either play this patiently and rat it out, or try to go back and get their banners with some bravery. But I think at this point, starting game 1, you would not want to go down too early and wait another hour before you get back into a lobby to compete.
Raina, I got to say, if you were hoping that the Super Regional would bring us some interesting stories off the break, we absolutely just got that. Flying Camels, your 2nd-seeded MEA team, finding ggvale over at Mirage right away, right? Quite an upset off the break in terms of those first knocks that went. And the same thing happening with Fenerbahce, taking down players from 3rd Impact as well there at Epicenter. So we're immediately seeing contested drops, and we're seeing the MEA teams show up early. Now, we saw no squad wipes through that, however, did see some early aggression and some confidence out of the MEA teams. Of course, if you're supporting that region, or if you just want to see some great games today, you're going to hope to see more of that throughout our entire set of 5 games.
And I think that just shows that there is so much talent across Apex Legends, which is what this tournament and the series has been intending to highlight for all of those viewers, and of course just the players as well, to encourage them to keep involving themselves with high-level Apex as it does continue to grow. It is sticking around, and you can see that these players are just getting better and better. Jay, Noth, Taylor, these guys, fantastic members, formerly of the squad Virtus Pro. I believe they are Flavor of the Week at this moment, and some incredible performances.
Flavor of the month,
I think Flavor of the month, excuse me, not even the week. Thank you for the correction, but really good performance last tournament as well to kind of finish it off and really prove that they are heading in the right direction as a bunch of well-known players within the European scene.
And then also GSD on your screen right now. If you've been watching any competitive Apex within the last 6 months, you know these guys. Not only are they a top team, so talented, but also, of course, our online tournament 6 winners. But now also, as we quickly switch over to the Gamers Origin side, they actually qualified 7th. Keep in mind, 7th out of 8th to get here. So not the easiest road for them, but they did make it, and that's what counts for the Gamers Origin side as we jump on board with W Series there, right?
using the longbow as well with the 6x, not fully kitted. One of the reasons I think the longbow is just not the, as we kind of discuss a little bit of weapon meta here, not the sniper of choice. It's very good from a consistent poke pressure, but it does not hit as hard as the Sentinel, and it doesn't have the consistency, not only from range, but as just far as leveling up Evo shields as a charge rifle. So look for him to have to trade that out in the future, unless it's just something that he finds extremely valuable. Also noting, most players play with a wingman, so they'll want the skull piercer on that. The longbow needs an extra skull piercer to hit as hard, and I just think you have to fit it out with every single attachment possible. It's just so much more efficient to grab a sniper stock, grab a 4 to 8x, grab a charge rifle, and get that Evo shield leveled up for your main fragger or for your support in the back line. But as these teams look to just hold it out, Brav, there's a lot of different choices you can make. That's kind of what made this season so fun, in my opinion.
Absolutely. To take a look at exactly all these teams kind of converging on Overlook, and this is what you expect to see for anything that pulls near Overlook in the early game, is those buildings going very quickly as teams tried to hold them. North is already one of the teams in Overlook town. Some good charge rifle damage coming out of RPR for just a moment. But yeah, you're going to start to see teams get pretty cozy and comfy here in these Overlook buildings without a doubt. As we said, a lot of them going very quickly.
And from a high-level meta perspective, I think charge rifle Evo is what we're going to see a lot of today, especially with the Havoc, with the Mastiff. And these teams continuing to prove me right here with a Havoc and a Mastiff on Oznazeni, and continuing to showcase just the meta weapons thriving here for so long here with Gamers Origin taking a prime spot, Watsoning up, and they've got plenty of mobility and rotation power with the Pathfinder. And with the Wraith to boot, still 20 squads alive, Brav. Not a single squad has dropped here in Game 1 yet.
Yeah, despite that early aggression, like you said, we did not see anyone drop. I like what we're seeing from Gamers Origin here. This is a great spot to establish presence with those Watson fences. Not only do you have a lot of kind of areas for cover, but obviously that Watson ult is also very safe. You can just tell by where that ult was. They're going to be able to patrol and wait for teams to rotate into Overlook from just advantageous position. So right now we're also looking at the boys on XLG and CHMK home just like that. I can't believe it, but Zani W, we didn't even get to talk about the roster yet, Rain, which I was so excited to talk about. They will actually go down first to Dead Inside. That'll be Saudi, Stanny, and Disbelief taking them down, and I believe they had quite a road, because if I'm not mistaken, these guys are still landing Dome, and they made it all the way up. But just like that, we'll go ahead and get back over to the side of Flying Camels. Once again, Microfiber, Pinky, Finky, Tinky, as well as Gunnar.
And, let me just give a branding 101. You want an easy name to say that people will remember. Pinky, Pinky, Tinky is about as good as it gets. The first time hearing it, I don't think I'll ever forget it at this point. And we're going to have to keep in track with one of our EMEA teams, Flying Camels, as they continue to move in with this 19-squad team, continuing to move over on this left-hand side, skirting on the edge of circle. Still have a very good team that can, once in position in one of those buildings potentially after they overtake it, hold it down and kind of set themselves up for late game, but still on the outskirts here, probably the safest move, because heading into that pit without a safe way to get in there, despite having a potential Watson defense, it is just a deficit that's asking for several teams to start shooting that jet.
Absolutely. SJP2 now finally moving in on Survey. You can see they're looking really good in terms of armor, and they are not afraid to move together as a unit through Survey. They're playing a little bit of edge here, but they can certainly do so not only with a Gibby, but also great armor to allow them to really choose which battles they want to take as they move their way in. But also in Survey, as we said, are the Flying Camels.
And they've just found a little building, and so this is fine. And, I think part of their conversation is trying to get as close as possible without risking dying, considering that they have not leveled up their shields in too significant of a way. And I'm actually not sure if they're even running an Evo shield. You have to check in with Gunnar. There is a little bit of a display a bug that can happen at times to make it so you can't see if there's an Evo shield or a normal white shield. But if this is the case, 2 blues and just a white, that's not sitting pretty for Flying Camels. They're just going to have to play this one safely and try to poach on some fights as they make their way in.
And keep in mind, as a path team, right, this is not where they want to be. They're playing hard edge there. They're not going to be able to rotate early, because you saw just how packed this is. We have an interesting circle pull here. Things right now, there's a few different circles this could pull to. They could come still around Overlook Town, but it looks like we're either going to see this Epicenter Ridge, where you already see SJP2 hanging out. This could also pull a little bit towards, certainly we've seen different refinery end circles as well, but it's going to be a very long rotate for them, Flying Camels all the way in. And as we said, as a path team, that's going to be tricky. We'll check back in with them later, because SJP2 is actually making the move over to refinery, indicating that they are not going to hold that Epicenter Ridge.
I see somebody.
And they are looking good right now as well. Shielding, I love the gold shields. I find them to be so effective here. Just the double healing on syringes, on shield cells. It makes your economy a bit different, but in some ways it makes it a little more effective knowing that you're grabbing shield cells so easily throughout the map. Most people aren't prioritizing as well as much as shield batteries, and so you just have access to that, and they're healing nearly as fast. About a second difference between a full shield battery and 2 shield cells with that gold shield. So still not too much to get a ton of value from it. As we check in with Gamers Origin here on that backside. A little bit of a fight here with the Lions. They are looking low. This has been an engagement even 8, and it's going to be Caucus who's staying alive. IPN, who drops though as well. And this is Base. He could go down. The Lions could be out. 19 squads still remaining. But oh no, Base has just a sliver of health, an inch, a prayer, a dream. He's going to make it out to the corner and try to rat this out, as it seems like it is gnaskestrafedel who have found a couple of kills onto Alliance here. And SJP2 actually getting into the action. Jellycorn picking up Alliance Hunt.
Absolutely. A little bit of a mess there, as you saw in the feed. And I do believe that's going to be Fenerbahce, who exits as our second team, as we saw at least 3 parties into that battle. But speaking of now, this is what we talked about. I was worried about the situation that we were going to see flying camels in, as they are now desperately trying to stay alive and get into some cover at Refinery.
And this is good for Baker as well. Vex, he's kind of holding it down with this Watson and trying to just, I think, play this in a way to get information. Nobody wants to overcommit here, especially on the low ground as well. There's so many angles to get dropped down from or to have no area to retreat, especially if you lose that cover inside the building. Taxi as well, just kind of scouting out on their backside to clear their right and their high angles, and they know there is a team up there, and so they're looking to basically push behind it. Rob, and this is actually a good approach. I like it. The Havoc, with the 3 times and the R99, the Havoc early and good poke from range, as well as the up and close spray of that light ammo beast that the R9 has always been in Apex Legends.
Absolutely, as we also take a look here at the side of Patisport here on the Explosion roster. We haven't seen too much of them this game. As we take a look exactly where this circle is going, it has pulled completely away from Refinery, and it looks like, if you have to guess, that it is going to be one of those that's in between kind of Overlook North and Epicenter. It can fall on the high ground or the low ground. We've seen it even hit tracks there, so we'll have to see exactly where this one pulls, but it is going to make a lot of teams uncomfortable, Ray. As we think about the map right now, teams are having to come off of Epicenter height, they're coming out of cover at Refinery, and they're going to be forced out of the Overlook buildings all at once, converging to what, like we said, has essentially dropped dead center of those 3 POIs. This is going to be a pretty deadly next few rounds.
And you're totally right, Rob. And the thing I think that teams are looking at now, as we do have that 18 squad shift into what will be some very open area to traverse in order to get into that circle and trying to get high ground, trying to apply pressure on this rotation. If you can somehow break a shield, if you could somehow hit somebody with a Havoc spray, force them into a defensive rotation, or force one of their teammates to cover and slow down, then you could probably guarantee a safe spot for a while, as far as just getting to a little bit of safety inside the zone before you have to take a fight again. So I think teams are going to be looking to poke here. They're just going to be looking to bide their time, try to stay out of cover fire. As you can see, he's already found one. D2 is the one who goes down. He's got the clean finish as well. That's going to add a KP to their name.
Absolutely, and that is going to be BTX actually taking down players and finishing them from TI Black, and that is actually a little bit of an upset if you look at the bracket, just because BTX did come into this on a tie break, and Third Impact Black actually the team that won their semifinal. So definitely some good kills going for them. And also in the feed, we still see Gambit as well as the guys on LCB Lava City Boys.
And North are also in a pretty decent position because they have a ton of cover here through their rotation. Monday with the charge rifle, but he's out of sniper ammo after 3 more shots. And so that is something they're going to have to manage as well here. LCB, though, Lava City Boys, one of our MEA representatives, in a bit of trouble here. But CG is going to go for a bit of a res, and they're going to find it. And Klatchy, he is going to be able to get rezzed up. Hopefully he's got enough shields to get saved here. He might be able to get Kath Ryan as well, but they're going to take the portal and try to make this safer. They know that someone's pushing back. And oh no, this is the finish. He's going to try to maybe just go for this here, grab a banner, and he can't get it.
And this is a team that I wanted to talk about here, LCB. We talked about them in the pregame range, just the fact they had 97 points over 51 coming in. They won 3 out of 5 of their matches in their final, and aside from that, had 1 second and 1 sixth. An amazing performance coming in, so definitely some eyes on the Lava City boys. If you have not watched this team compete at all in MEA, or you haven't caught any of their streams, definitely a team we'll be watching today, but we'll have to see if they're going to be able to fight through this, as we also see Thex in the feed once again.
Definitely, Rob. I think that's one of the conversation pieces as well. These teams are now fighting for their right not only to survive here, but to make a name for themselves in this super regional and in this greater understanding of Apex Legends and the entirety of the global community competing. And we're going to see a lot of names come through today that will be highlighted, I'm sure, for weeks and months to come as we continue here. Our first super regional joining in, it's Rain Day and Bravo on the cast. Had a great opening from Jess and JLo. You're here from Onset and Fallout a little bit later as we continue in the tournament. And we've got 16 squads left with what looks to be, assuming, a refinery circle that's now bridged out to the open between Overlook and Epicenter, which is going to force some teams into a very tricky situation. Right now, Segura, Furry Kit, hanging out. Nasr, they're actually taking a lower end ground, another MEA team. Our fourth squad here, who had made representation into this lobby, Brav.
Absolutely excited to see Nasr here. They're the only team representing the UAE. Excited to see them in a tournament, be able to call action from their representation. But right now, they, like as you said, are low ground Epicenter. They're going to have a very difficult rotate out. And look where we are pulling here. There's a tiny bit of that eastern Epicenter height in here. We already have one team already trying to cover that center. Now, there's different terrain that you can cover here, but let's not joke. This is a very open end circle here. That is going straight down from the west, downhill into those few cars. And not surprised to see those early trailers taken that are just to the south of Refinery, to the north of Overlook. Those will be highly contested without a doubt, and the teams that have rotated there early will be looking to pick up significant amounts of KP on teams that rotate late.
Yeah, and that is the key right here. I mean, you talk about even in Gambit, when you looked at Artico speaking about why he's been so successful with his squad, he named 3 teams, fast rotations, knowing most of where the zones end up, and good shooting. And right now, Baker is trying to showcase this good shooting as well, and that is going to put them in a beautiful spot. BTX finding a lot of good kills there inside Refinery, and North doing the same on their side with the Red Evo RPR pushing in to finish this one off with the Master.
Yeah, that was finally Vapes going down from Alliance. As you remember, we were keeping an eye on them. They did place first in their semifinal, Vapes, Hackis, and IPN, but they will go down now with 15 squads left. Like you said, North still making their move. We caught up with them earlier, and they looked good in the way of armor, and they're looking even better now as well with an Evo to their name.
And a gold, and that's beautiful. Taishin able to grab the Evo North with the gold here, and I think this is a decent spot for them, but you can see only one shield cell to RPR's name, so they're going to have to loot somebody, and they're going to have to make this rotation as well. Thermite going down again just to distract, try to get a little poke, maybe to burn, and the circle moving now. They have a zip line if they need it. Monday electing, does he use it here? Oh, and he's got the Thermite burn, and this is perfect. This is the opening that they were looking for, not only to apply the pressure. The R301 looks to hopefully get it down. It's about 140 damage, and they're going to push this hard. RPR is going in as well with the Mastiff. Bravi hits one big shot, and that's it down onto Gambit. That's Artico, who we were just mentioning, and they are going to finish him off. His microfibers over on the other side from GTX gets finished by Taxi.
Oh boy, this might be trouble for North. They went for that aggro port, but Monday now is going to have to try to fight through this. I don't think he'll be able to. North will be out, and you have to wonder if they're going to think about whether or not they should have hit that aggro port to finish those kills. You saw a lot of damage coming in early, and they were able to push in, but not without sacrificing their lives. They will go down. We also take a look at Dead Inside, who's the third party to that engagement. They will pick up those kills, as here we are now, 10 squads left.
And that is the issue sometimes, Rob. You just see that opening and you get excited and you want to finish it because you did all the damage. You know how low they are. But another team is waiting in the wings. Not only have you created pressure for yourself to push, you've created free pressure for them to push because now you're fighting the two teams. The two teams that they were worried about are fighting each other. And so they come in, Dead Inside, perfect patience. Sometimes it isn't about aim, it is about win. And this is exactly what Dead Inside were able to capitalize on here. And you can see just the G7 Scout running out of light ammo. This is where things get a little tense, and you have to make plays in order to loot and stay efficient for that final circle. As I don't think there could be almost a better rotation for OS right there to continue pushing forward. They've got great cover on both sides.
And 303 actually in the feed, you might have seen it. Looked like, in terms of just looking at the kill feed, it looked like a clean 3v3. They took down Myth. one of our teams to watch here. We'll talk about Myth certainly throughout the later games today, but they are out at the hands of 303. And as we just saw, Outsiders with some very good height control. They've established some great presence. I believe a corner of their hold is still in the next circle, but we'll have to see if that is the case as we take a look at them once again. Like I said, they have all the height here, and they've established some good presence. Some other teams have done so as well, but certainly at lower ground, they will be pretty comfortable right now. They'll have to move in a little bit, and they will play this hard edge. And we'll see how well they can do that as we also go look at GSD here.
Oh, and talk about a position here. gnaskestrafedel, they are in such prime location to end up in a top 3 situation in this game. They've got shielding as well. The only blue there on the Watson, who is defense and carefully positioned as well with the red Evo and the gold shield also in the building. Playing high ground should get them into a great spot here. And Iceberg, he's going to have to move in. They're trying to make a little bit of an explosion here. As the explosion does push in, they found a Watson ult die behind. And Segura trying to get that kill battery off. More teams will fall, Brav, as this continues. Only 6 squads left here to finish this fight off.
We see 2 knocks coming in for Gamers Origin. I believe that will be the finish. Yes, indeed, in the end, that is going to be Baker of ETX that takes down the Gamers Origin side. So just like that, we are down into our top 5, and it's all coming down to these battles around this final trailer and final building here. Like you said, GSD in such prime position to clean up these remaining kills and potentially win this game.
What a thermite! Oh my god! That's the thermite of time, Rob. That does so much damage onto the low ground. And it's Baker FPS who is dealing with it. And you could just see that Max Strafe, and of course Dell and Nasky wanted to push it, but they couldn't. They're still going to be able to get BTX, who falls. It's only 4 teams remaining now. An incredible run from them for Refinery. We'll have to look out for them in game 2, continuing the pressure, coming in 8th in this bracket for EU. But Segura, the Iceberg, Furry Kit, Explosion, somehow they have made it and are hiding behind this rock. But, Rob, they've got a long way to go to safety, especially with gnaskestrafedel on their left side as well.
They do, and they need to be careful here. You just saw Segura taking some extra damage. Based on that, we don't know if he has any, if the teammates are ready to share any bats right there. They're going to head and fence that TP as well. But like we said, GSD with that ground. But one thing I'm wondering, we see Explosion playing the hard edge of the zone. There's 2 more teams left. We haven't gotten good eyes on them just yet. Here's one, actually. And this is going to be dead inside. Who's going to be holding that? That's where they're holding here. And they right now are in a much better position than the side of Explosion, who has to move a much further distance.
Yeah, and oh my god, that's good damage on gnaskestrafedel, and this is unfortunate because gnaskestrafedel with prime positioning, I think, aside from Dead Inside, are now going to get the ones who have the pressure, and Dead Inside with the Gibraltar bombardment. That means this is going to take down Mistral. That's the Outsiders, the other 4 squads, so it is up to Disbelief and Explosions, gnaskestrafedel, or Outsiders to come out on top with this one, but it will be Explosions who look to fall there. 3 squads remaining. Disbelief with 2 Evos, a gold shield, and a Gibraltar firing a flatline. gnaskestrafedel are going to not do too well in this situation.
Absolutely. Look at them flying in. And there's 1 solo left. There goes the solo now, so it will be finally just them. And they will do it. I believe it's going to be Dead Inside with an amazing push at the end, not only in those final moments that we saw, but if you were looking at the kill feed there, amazing kills coming in from the side of Stanny.
Whopping 15 kills. That is absolutely insane. GSD, of course, coming in 2nd place. There's where the kills drop down to only 3. So even though, of course, as we've been saying, there are many important factors here in terms of points, in terms of placement. 2 of those factors that are the placement as well as the kills. But either way you look at it, Dead Inside obviously have a great advantage. They're going to get a lot of points from the 1st place placement, and they have 15 kills, which is more than any other player, or any other team, excuse me, any other squad has taken. Jayla, was there anything else about those top 10 standings?
The EMEA region, and you know, it was exciting to see some of the teams that have been added to this final as well from the Middle East and Africa region really getting aggressive at the start of the game. So I'm excited to see if that continues as we roll into game number 2.
That is exactly right. The Russians start strong in game number 1 with a dominant performance. However, gnaskestrafedel right behind them with their same placement-focused gameplay that got them a championship win in our last online tournament. So consistency shows true for gnaskestrafedel, and the slaying power of the Russians so true with Dead Inside. But let's jump into game number 2 as we're excited. We're actually going to hop on board with Nags, aka one of the top Predator players in Europe. Playing on controller, made the switch from console to PC months ago, and representing controller players in Europe, which we don't see a whole lot of. Most European players actually are keyboard and mouse traditionally. In North America, we have quite a few more controller players, but excited to see what they can do. Meanwhile, jumping on board with Outsiders.
Yeah, just getting a good look at not only this first circle, but the Pathfinder beacon has been lit up as well, and you can see a really southwesterly pulling circle there around Dome and Lava City. So a lot of the teams who maybe had a little bit of a rotation from the south side of the map to the north side of the map in that last game are going to be a little bit happier to see that circle popping up in the southern side of the map. So they're going to have less of a trek across World's Edge here to get themselves a little bit of a spot towards those final circles.
That's exactly right. The familiar Lava City finish that we've seen time and time again in online tournaments here of competitive Apex. So we've seen it before. These players are certainly familiar with this circle. We heard Artico of Gambit talk about their ability to predict circles being better than most as we see teams starting to rotate and rotate quickly. We saw gnaskestrafedel rotating fast. Another team quickly on that rotation all the way from Harvester is going to be xaniw. And by the way, key storyline here, Bravo and Rain Day teed it up, but Zanya is no longer playing with LG as a result of this tournament, at least currently. Not sure if he's a ringer or is this a permanent thing, but you got to think this is a powerhouse squad of Xania, arguably one of the best players on the Luminosity Gaming roster, playing alongside the former CHMK players who are so consistent, so dominant, and we've seen them time and time again perform incredibly well. Meanwhile, Taxi, Thex, and Baker looks like they're going to find someone, and they don't want to fight it, just going to ping it out and try to avoid the fight as they're trying to get the early rotation all the way over to Lava City.
Yeah, I'm just having a look at that mini-map as well as we see the overhead. A lot of teams currently set up around fragments, so they're going to be moving out and having to move in a south direction, which means there might be an opportunity for some teams to run into each other on that rotation, which is going to make things a little bit more difficult for them. And one of those teams is 303, who are going to be jumping on here, who seem to be the first team trying to make some moves. But this is what I'm talking about. All these teams trying to take different chokes, and the problem with that, it means everyone's going to be running in the same direction. You need to rotate quickest here. You need to get ahead of your competition and slow down their rotation so you can get into a better spot than they can as we move towards that late game.
Yes, that's exactly right. One of the staples of World's Edge is just the amount of choke points that exist on the map and why it's so important to rotate early. That's why we see, again, gnaskestrafedel, we saw in the minimap early on, they were out of Fragment East so fast. That was the adjustment that they made to their gameplay that made the difference for them in the last online tournament, helped them get a victory. And now we're seeing some of these other teams kind of follow suit. But again, you have to get through these choke points early, and there's some danger along the way as we're going to see Alliance, actually, one of our Titan squads, looks like they're under some pressure early on.
Yeah, Alliance didn't have the greatest of game ones. We have to say one of the first teams to be eliminated from game one, and we know all about the prowess that this lineup has and how much talent is on this team. But one thing that we should point out as well is IPN not running the caustic here, John. He's jumped over to the Pathfinder, so it looks like a little bit of a change in approach coming in from Alliance. We'll have to see if that pays off as the game rolls on.
And Anta, I didn't see it in game number one. Did you catch the running caustic in game one, or did you miss that as well?
I don't think they were playing caustic in game number one, so it's obviously
so
a little bit of a
adjustment
change.
they made
On Twitter, I mentioned yesterday that they are making that little bit of an adjustment.
Yeah, it's an interesting adjustment made going into this tournament. Meanwhile, Myth, a former champion of an online tournament, 1 of 7. They're currently under some pressure here. Looks like Amaz is just going to Wraith Q out and in a tough spot, trying to get a shield cell popped off to get at least 25 HP. It's not going to matter. Myth gets taken out early already in this one, so that is disappointing for the former champions. And one thing that's a key storyline going into this tournament is every European or EMEA finals, we have seen a different European team win every European online tournament. Well, we also have Middle East and Africa competing today, so we'll see if that trend stays true. Will it be another squad in Europe, maybe like the former Virtus Pro squad, flavor of the month, or will we see one of our Middle Eastern or African teams show up in a big way here against the European scrim lobby? Keep in mind that these two scrim lobby bubbles are combining. Typically, Middle East and Africa will have their scrim lobbies, and Europe will have their scrim lobbies. Fenerbahce is one of the few teams that kind of breaks that norm and scrims in European lobbies as much as they can. But we're going to see a lot of interesting early drops, a lot of early contest fights, which is why we saw a team get taken out early there in the form of Myth. Meanwhile, Nasr currently in a pretty rough spot as Dictator is down.
Yeah, Dictator, I think, is unfortunately disconnected from the game by the looks of things. So not the best of situations here for Nasr Esports. However, they do still have 2 players alive, so they'll be able to make their way up towards the dome, where it looks like the pings had been located from the teams who were kind of in a better position as far as map rotation was concerned. There's a potential finish, which is around the truck. There's one just outside of the dome. However, one thing we should discuss a little bit as well is a few players saying how they felt the zones have been changing a little bit over this last week or so. And when you see those zones changing just before you come into a tournament, it really does throw the cat among the pigeons a little bit, and you get a little bit nervous going into those final circles, thinking, you know, is the place that we wanted to set up before going to be as viable now that we are seeing those little changes? So look for teams to be maybe playing the percentages a little bit more than they had been previously.
Yep, that's a great point. Looks like Alliance all back and alive in this one, and good call out on zones being a slightly different. That's one of the kind of staples of any Battle Royale title, is you have to be able to have good team chemistry, good synergy to play no matter what the terrain, what the finish, what the end ring is. You got to be able to perform. This looks like a ring we've seen before in past online tournaments. We'll see if it ends up finishing in Lava City like we have seen it finish before, but it looks like so far 2 rings in, we do see it gearing towards Lava City, and typically for some of our newer competitive Apex players, typically the ring will continue to pull in the direction that it originally pulled. So right now it is a southeast ring. That ring will continue to pull towards that southeast, generally speaking. Of course, that's not a tried and true rule, but we're seeing that come true so far.
Well, now we're going to see Alliance come in under pressure. However, pressure seems to be being backed off, and Alliance are going to win that battle. It's Microfibers who will be taken down by Hackis, and IPN did a good job there of getting out of that situation. You have to think, if he was running the caustic there, would he have been able to grapple out of that pressure that was coming in and live to fight another day? So obviously you're going to see the plus sides of a Pathfinder over a caustic player in that kind of situation. However, on the same side of things, you got to say, would they even have been able to push if they had the caustic? So it kind of swings in roundabouts with those legend selections. But the team that is below them, this is going to be Flying Camels and Finky Tinky, which is something that I've been hoping to say for the entirety of the broadcast, is going to be sitting down here as the final player alive for them. It was actually Microfibers who was that player trying to push in, and now he's going to be looking for, as we call it now, the strategy to try and stay alive for as long as possible.
Might be something good.
By the way, that is a new term that has been coined by your Apex Legends casters, Rattergies, the rat strategy, which Pinky Finky Tinky is living tried and true right now. By the way, the Flying Camels, my new favorite team name. My previous favorite team name in European finals was 33% Chicky Nuggies, which is now 303 Esports, Rondon and Clone, of course, from the Chicky Nuggies squad. Always keeping things entertaining, and it's even better that the Flying Camels come from the Middle East and Africa representing, as I love these team names here, getting creative in the European finals.
Yeah, they can have a team to their north at the moment who's going to be sitting around trying to maybe push up into this caves area by the vault. So you can see they're trying to get the Watson fences down and make sure that no pressure comes under them. But speaking of which, the pressure does actually start to come in, and some phenomenal shots there with the R99 means that Rondon's going to back that team down, and that's going to make it even more of a difficult situation for the team who is on the end of this, because that zone will be closing. And not only that, that forces their rotations to be a little bit more difficult because of the fact that they can only then move to one side of this mountain area.
Yep, it's actually going to be ggvale, the controller squad we mentioned earlier. Nag, such a dominant online ranked player, Predator player from the UK, representing controller. Let's see what they can do here, as it's going to be 303. Just watching that flank, and you always love these. Part of the reason you love this kind of late circle or late ring is because of these choke point areas where teams have to go through. They don't really have many other options, and it's going to force fights that are always interesting to watch. Of course, Nag's going to get tagged up here. He's going to heal up with some shield cells. Interesting to see how they play this.
Let's explore
Yeah,
this.
the difficulty for both of these teams here is however they choose to make their next rotation, because although they're safe at the moment when this ring does close, if you're trying to exit from this kind of tri-choke area by the caves and by the vault, then you're moving uphill if it goes towards the dome, where you're going to have teams already set up like we've seen on the overhead map. So they're going to be shooting down on you. You're going to be forcing yourself through a choke. And exactly the same could be said if it moves towards the Lava City area, or if they choose to move towards the Lava City area. They're going to have so much height to contest with, teams set up in those buildings. So it's going to be definitely a tough road for them to move ahead.
That's a great call out. Of course, it looks like in that scenario, ggvale is going to opt not to push through that choke point. They recognize, hey, we're still in ring. We're in a good position here. We're just going to try and survive, stay alive as long as we can, and see where this ring ends up pulling. It's typically going to be in Lava City, but we'll see if that stays true. So it looks like they will have to rotate eventually. Meanwhile, we are back on board with Alliance, another former champion, another former top team, but has been a little bit quiet in the last few online tournaments, at least the last two. We really touted Alliance as the undoubted GOATs of the European region. Now they're playing against Middle East and Africa as well. I'm excited to see if they can kind of stay true to that title that we gave them a few online tournaments ago, as a lot of other teams have really stepped up and replaced them. One team in particular that's been playing well so far, it's Dead Inside. Again, the Russians, who, if you're just joining us, dropped a 15-kill first-place game for 27 points. They are far and beyond ahead of any other team. They're looking great as we're now jumping on board with Furry Kit & Co. and now back to the Lions.
Yeah, the difficulty here for all of the teams that are set up inside Lava City is they're going to have to all move pretty much at the same time as that circle does close. You saw the pull is going to be right towards maybe that truck which is set up just outside of Dome, or maybe just inside of Dome. So all those teams have to leave at essentially exactly the same time. They also have to move uphill where these teams are set up. So difficult rotations for the teams that are currently set up within Lava City. Alliance just on the edge of zone at the moment, and maybe just trying to sneak inside of Dome and find themselves a safe spot to work from.
Yep. Meanwhile, the pressure that we kind of predicted happening from Nags and Co is going to come through, as it looks like the push is coming in. Nags gets some good shots in, so he wants to play aggressive here. We all know controller players opt to play a little bit more aggressive from what we've seen in competitive Apex on the North American side, where we have quite a few controller players. However, tagged up quite a bit. A lot of damage is going to come through. It looks like 303 currently has the upper hand, and it's a third party that's coming in, actually, for Nags, for jokes and biting.
Yeah, this is the difficulty when you've got numerous teams set up on the outside of circle. As we get towards that fourth ring closing, they all have to move through choke points. They're all going to be contesting each other, and it's basically a case of winning that straight gunfight to allow yourself to proceed, not even into a good position, but in a livable position. So you're going to see all of these teams engaging at the moment. Whoever comes out on top might be able to survive for now. However, kill points is going to be the focus of their games, because I think their rotation, they've probably realized at this point that they're not going to be in a good enough position to maybe contest that final circle.
Yeah, that's a great call. Meanwhile, Lava City boys, keeping it on the top right of your screen, did take out Biting, so there's one member left. It's Nags for ggvale. Great job of the Lava City boys. They're trying to represent their name and represent it well with this Lava City finish. SJP2 very well positioned in this one, as they're able to get some shots for free. It's a firing range at this point, trying to pick up a kill on a down member. Good shots put in. He knows he's hit for shield. He's actually going to get a knock on 303 Rondon. So Jellied Corn and the rest of the SJP2 squad just trying to pick up some kill points across map.
Yeah, and this is what I meant for 303. They were the team that was set up by the Vault, and they had to exit one of the two dangerous ways. They chose one, and they get absolutely melted by SJP2 and the teams which were holding down the real estate inside Lava City. So now we're going to move over to another team who's trying to force their way in, but the only problem is they're not forcing quick enough, because that ring is closing, and I think here, Bashe, that's going to be the end of his game. His team will be taken out. And all these fights that are going on an edge of circle, there's only one team that can really come out with any kind of positive outcome, and we're seeing here, Thex is going to have to move as well. He's going to be taken down, and this is the difficulty of rotating late towards the Dome and toward Lava City. So much height that you have to fight through, so much open ground that you have to try and traverse, and if you get through there, I mean, you've done incredibly well, and you're kind of hoping for a little bit of luck to go your way as well.
Ring 3 to ring 4 currently has seen 4 or 5 teams get taken off. Of course, last game we went from 17 to 8 teams in this similar ring. A couple good shots going to get put in. It's going to be Flavor of the Month, a team we haven't talked a whole lot about. A lot of people saying they're next up to be a team that comes out on top. They've been improving steadily. Of course, former Virtus Pro roster that represented that Virtus Pro banner for so long and so incredibly well. They actually, I always mentioned in previous tournaments, they were one of the teams that were still working full-time jobs. Well, they've actually committed full-time to Apex Legends as of the last few months. They're going to pick up a kill right here, and Flavor of the Month is looking like they're well-kitted. They have an Evo shield and a purple shield to boot.
Yeah, and they actually drop in Lava City as well, so no surprise to see them not only with a fantastic position. That portal actually goes back to that truck that I mentioned early on that could be a potential end circle finish for them, but they also use that portal to completely clear out their backside. So now they know that anyone who is moving from the north side of the map, they're going to have that completely clear because they finished off those kills. So now they only have to focus on those teams on the Dome side of the map. Great play there from the former VP lineup to make sure that they put themselves in the best position to have success here.
Yep, so it looks like we're going to have a Dome finish. Currently on board at Dead Inside. Team that is in first by a long shot. Still alive in this one. Back on with Flavor of the Month, former Virtus Pro. They have a rotation ahead of them. This could be spelling dangerous for VP on this rotation, as they are undoubtedly going to cross paths with another team trying to get through the same rotation and trying to stay alive. It looks like they're just using zip lines to their advantage, getting some good high ground positions, trying to get as many shots as possible. As actually, I take that back. They are well positioned as they do claim the real estate of the trailer on the far side.
Yeah, like I mentioned at the moment, they have a great position.
sorry,
Yeah, I love how they're playing. As I said previously, they're just trying to clear out their backside and make sure that anyone moving up that hill is going to be their kills. They essentially have free shots on all of these teams that are trying to move up, and you can see all these teams like 303, somehow they've managed to come out of that difficult situation where they came from the vault towards Lava City, but they're still going to be pressured. They're still going to have such a difficult time to get into that next circle. And with just 9 squads remaining now, we've seen how many teams have dropped in that rotation. It's going to be Flavor of the Month who are going to be in prime position to just try and pick up more kill points as these teams push up the hill towards them.
Exactly right. Currently on board with Nath. Flavor of the Month, the Swedes looking to show their consistency and their improvement week over week as they've now taken Apex to the next level, but it's going to be 303 getting tagged up. They've survived before. It's going to be a tough one to survive as that dome shield's going to disappear in moments. Taylor is just looking to lurk and looking to take advantage of a injured and wounded 303 if he can, but he's playing with some dangerous territory as Taylor right now. Of course, he's Wraith, so he can do such things. Pia's going to get knocked in the storm for at least a tick, but they overall are going to survive this on this rotation, and they're looking to pick up a kill. It's actually going to be Nath that's able to get one.
Yeah, they do manage to get one there. I think they probably would have wanted a few more from that situation. Now you can just see that pull is actually going to be in towards the dome. So you can see why they were desperate to be so aggressive on those kills. I think they probably realized that it wasn't going to be pulling towards where they originally thought. So they were trying to be aggressive, get some kill points on the board and clear out a side of the map that they could potentially look to rotate in from. But Pierre here, as again, trying to just lock down this team, finish off these kills from the team that's kind of caught between a dome and a hard place, we'll call it at the moment, because there's no way that they can rotate in from here. So now you're going to see Flavor of the Month try and get aggressive and finish up these kill points.
That's exactly right. Here comes the moment. They're like Predator hunting the prey, but they recognize, hey, they're able to back out and reset by the chin of their hair of the chinny chin chin, as it's actually going to be Outsiders who has a nice rotation on the far side. So former VP is going to wisely back out and reset, recognizing this is not the fight we want. There's still 3 members of Outsiders here. If it was a 3 versus 2 or a 3 versus 1, maybe, but because they were able to sneak around that side of the mountain and survive, it's not a fight that they want to have. Meanwhile, back on board with the winners of online tournament, game number 1 here in Summer Circuit, online tournament number 1. It was Dead Inside. Alliance, another former champion as well, currently positioned very, very well on the dome.
Yeah, Alliance have made their way in towards this end circle, so much, much better, although it couldn't have got much worse. Game 2 performance from game number 1 for them. And now we're going to see Outsiders trying to portal into a position where they can rotate from. This is where the raid becomes so important in these enclosed areas. And also we're going to see running into a full team of 3 here. He managed to get the R9 spray to take down one, and that allows his teammates to push in here. And it's Alliance who they're in a battle with at the moment. And Alliance and Vates all of a sudden landing shots. It's a tight battle between the 2 teams. Not sure who is actually going to get the final finish onto this. It is going to be Outsiders who seem to win this one. So big push from Outsiders. The Devotion, a big, big moment for them to pick that up and manage to take Alliance out of the game.
And that is a perfect scenario for a gold Devotion. However, not in the best scenario was the last number. I think it was Kadi of Outsiders. He gets taken out. I gotta say, heads up play and some great play from Mistral, who opened that up, taking out Alliance, but I'm not sure if that's worth the 3 for 3 trade in that scenario. Yes, you get 3 kill points, but you're not gonna live to fight for a top 3 finish. Meanwhile, it's former CHMK with the addition of Xania of LG on this squad. We all know Xania. If you remember that name, well, it's from the Poland Krakow Invitational, where he had a disgusting 1 versus 3. And he definitely made the play of that tournament. Let's see, with a very, very good high ground position in this one. You got to think they're well positioned to win this onset.
Yeah, they're in a great position here. I think they're just about inside that circle as well. They're just going to be careful when those teams rotate out, that they don't all look up at the same time. And you can see Flavor of the Month here. They're just trying to gatekeep this team that's trapped in the building and put pressure on, waste some resources and make their rotation out as difficult as possible. But there's going to be a couple of moments of calm here, around 30 seconds until that ring closes. That's when the fuse is going to be lit. That's when the explosions are going to start. And that's when teams are going to start falling here.
Exactly right. Look at this. They're actually going to opt to put. Oh, no, it looks like Rugby was just trying to poke and trying to get some damage in. And the push does not come, but Flavor of the Month is in an intense spot right now between a rock and a hard place of 2 teams. It looks like the rotation, or the portal at least, is going to be placed for Rugby, which is wise, because now they can play both angles, and they can get these kills on Flavor of the Month if they opt to do so. Meanwhile, though, it's actually Sanya getting taken out, and some way, somehow, Flavor of the Month in the inopportune position is able to get the advantage in this one. They flip the script as they have 1 member down of the team above them, still in a crazy position. Flavor of the Month, you can hardly believe how well they're playing this right now.
Yeah, and now we're going to jump on board with Flavor of the Month. Like you mentioned, great shots coming in. However, they're getting pressured by so many different teams, and And Taylor, very, very low HP here, just desperately trying to stay alive, using that red shield to just take damage. And beautiful shots again coming in from Taylor. This is perfect play. If you're down and you're playing Apex Legends, then just remember that you can be more effective than you realize. That knockdown shield has been so vital for them to survive and get those heals off and get kill points as well.
That's right. Using those knockdown shields so incredibly well. Now he has 2 of them, but it's not going to matter. They're going to get taken out to a 4th place finish. Guess what's actually going to be the hands of Gambit. We saw the player profile from Artico, and of course Hardeki. If you missed his clip in his rat strat from last tournament, you better go look that up. It was disgusting. But look at this. Nasr still alive in this one. They are a top 3 team. They're going to get a kill on Sadyama of Dead Inside. Stanny now, the last soul Russian of this team. He is in a pretty tough spot. Looks like it's Gambit that's trying to take him out and make it a 3 versus 2. Actually make that a 2 versus 2 fight. However, Stanny actually manages to get 1. Finally gets taken out, but this makes things interesting for Artico. Nasr can take advantage of the 2 versus 1. All eyes on Artico in this 2v1, and he's going to get taken out. Nasr from the Middle East is going to do it with a victory. Can you believe that finish? As ladies and gentlemen, the Super Regionals are here, and we have a team, I believe, hailing from Turkey that are going to end up on top in game number 2. What a showing from Nasr.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. The gentleman from the Middle East coming in and, you know, just showing them the rest of the lobby who's boss, and that these new teams who have made it into this super regional final are not here to make up the numbers. A fantastic performance from them, an aggressive push towards the end as well to make sure that they got that last player down. And I'm impressed, man. I think that's the wonderful thing about this tournament and these tournaments that we're going to see is we get to see new talent. We get to see teams that we didn't expect to do so well show, you know, across the globe how big a game Apex Legends is and how much practice and grind and hours have been put in by these teams to put in performances like the one we've just seen in game number 2.
Yeah, in every single region. And I actually have to stand corrected. My apologies. Not coming from Turkey. They're actually representing Saudi Arabia and Yemen. Nasr Esports showing up strong. And Onset, you bring up a great point. We've been watching for the last, 5 months, online tournaments from North America and from Europe. That is it. However, there's been 5 other regions around the globe that have been participating in these online tournaments on such a consistent basis. And now we get to see the blend of that. I love this format. I love the fact that it feels like a global affair again, much like it did at the Krakow preseason invitational in Poland last
Jayla,
year.
you have been chomping at the bit to talk about, as I really wanted to talk about, or you really wanted to also talk about ggvale, because they are mysteriously absent from this top 10 list. And they are I think they are the only controller squad in the EMEA region, I believe. Is that right?
Yes, it is. We have Nax and Joki on ggvale that are actually playing on controller. It's interesting because we don't usually see controller players in EU. It's more of like a North American thing. And even then, so we haven't seen too many over there. So it's cool seeing controller gang making their way into the EU.
Well, they're trying. They're trying to make their way, and they are currently, if you see this graphic we currently have up for you right now, this is the overall standing. So as I've been mentioning, this does take into account results, including placements as well as kills from the first 2 matches. These points have been totaled. So Dead Inside, of course, have a major lead with 36 points from that fantastic showing that they had in the first 2 matches, coming in at 2nd place.
Man, we've had an amazing set of first games here in EMEA. We really couldn't ask for better results, and we've had surprises along the way as well, Rain.
You're absolutely right. EMEA has been, for EMEA, one of the greatest things that we've seen in Apex Legends so far, because what it's showing us is something we believe for a long time. And anybody who's played this game has already understood that at the end of the day, you put an R9 in a good FPS player's hands, and he can win a fight. It doesn't matter where he's from, where he's born, where he's living. And I think that's what's being shown here with Nasr taking over this game 2, putting themselves in a strong position in 3rd in the overall bracket. Dead Inside, though, still leading with 36 points over the entirety of the lobby, and Outsiders coming in 2nd with 21, a huge 8-kill game, even though they placed about 7th in that last one, dominating as far as all of their fights, bro.
Absolutely. It's been an amazing set of games so far, and now we're also starting off with Flying Camels. We saw them off of Game 1 dropping Mirage, and they're heading to the same exact spot. Keep in mind, in Game 1, Rain, we did see them get into an early engagement with ggvale, so it looks like, if I'm watching correctly, I'm not seeing it contested this time around. ggvale might be heading somewhere else, and not surprising because they're at the bottom of the table, right around 17th. They are in need of points, and they cannot really risk a Game 3 early fight. But actually, I stand corrected if I'm not mistaken. Let's see, unless we're just seeing cargo bots there.
And it seems like Kralix as well, third impact black, and Fenerbahce getting involved as well with a couple of downs. Fenerbahce getting Jazaz again. This is the exact same thing we saw in the kill feed as we followed along with Pinky Finky Tinky of Flying Camels, another representative from the EMEA region over in the beautiful, I think, rotation side of things, trying to just say, let's not rotate until we've won a couple of fights. And this is a pretty risky strategy that has the potential to pay a ton of dividends. Remember, you're not getting a ton of placement points until you're making top 10, and even that, it's not as many as you can get, especially if you grab 3 early kills. But right now, it seems like the slow play is what they need. I'm just worried about this continual engagement, Brav. There's not a ton of resources at Mirage Voyage specifically to stay alive and fight continuously and then make it to a good spot mid-game.
Yeah, and I'm surprised to see it. As I had said, I certainly stand corrected. I expected to see one of these two teams maybe not continuing to contest Mirage here in Game 3. And if you look at ggvale, they are the ones that need to be much more careful. But you know, Flying Camels is also at the bottom of the table as well. So these two teams really looking to fight to the death over Mirage. They are neither of them giving in here.
And still holding this low ground, high ground. It's a risky spot, but they're going to have a chance to just hold with Watson. And if you ever need an issue, it's almost like its own advertisement in Apex Legends. Got a problem? Hold with Watson. Let her just lock down those doors and just bide some time. Don't go out there without understanding the situation. And Microfibers, Tinky Tinky doing just that. But the problem is they both bought the product. Watson on the top side as well as on the bottom. So these two teams at a stalemate currently, wasting time. No one's able to rotate. No one's able to feel free here in this. And the more attention they attract, the more potential for a third party. So this is not benefiting either team right now.
Absolutely. Like you said, things have really come to a slowdown with these two still contesting each other. Surprising to see. Curious what's going on with the rest of the lobby as well. And right there, you're going to see some shots attempted, but right away, teams retreating just a bit. A little bit of damage coming in, but no knocks just yet.
And what they're looking for, Brav, just a knock, a big ability. You saw there, they got the Q on the Wraith, so she went into the Void. That's 35 seconds. She doesn't have that, so she's got to be careful. Can't play as aggressively. But still, Pinky Finky Tinky, they did not want to push through. The generators, slowly but surely, packing everybody's shields up to full again, and most of them operating on white. I believe one blue is involved in the skirmish, and they're just going to portal out. So waiting for ultimates, waiting for the ability to move, and Microfibers using the triple take to just say, get off. Don't even try to come over here. And this team looking to continue, but it has been a slow start for them.
Absolutely, and I do want to give a shout out. First of all, as a reminder, this is the first time we're seeing the Middle East region in this tournament, so I want to give a shout out to their community to see exactly what the comms sound like on the side of the Flying Camels.
There's another team.
They don't know. Just go inside. I think we go back. I think we go loot around somewhere.
Yeah, loot around. And we can check the beacon fast.
Can I check behind here? Inside?
We going high or?
I'm going below to loot. We need to fuck this team, dude. I'm looting here. The Wraith that was 1 HP. We couldn't kill him.
I have a 2 Elstor and 170 bullets.
Can't go from this
I'm
side.
gonna take this. Give me. Take this and give me the scout.
Oh, okay.
Do we need energy? Because we don't have energy gun.
Oh, no, don't.
Can we come? Well,
I'm gonna check the zone. I know this zone, so this is gonna get in the middle. Or harvester. Maybe they're camping here. Just watch me.
Yeah, below me. I hear him.
Yeah, below. I think below. Someone below. Maybe here. Watch out.
Let's go that way.
Could be here too. I don't know.
Let's go this way.
Yeah, I know it. Fuck. Take this, Eva.
I
have
the
alternator.
I have alternator.
I have a K. We can go okay. We can go okay if you want.
Something good this way.
We can go okay.
What K? What do you mean?
That was the Flying Camels talking about the frustration. You could hear it audibly in the sighs of, it might have been Microfibers or Gunnar there discussing the team that continually messes with them. A few words I won't repeat, a few expletives, and I think that just shares the sentiment we all were looking at there. Why is this 50-50 going on in a relatively not a good spot for two teams to be fighting, Brock.
Yeah, and this is what we talked about before the tournament, Rain, is that when you do get into a lobby like this where you have 16 teams from Europe, but then 4 from the Middle East, when you already have a few question marks around drops in Europe and you add these 4 Middle Eastern teams to the mix, you're starting to see some crossover in drops, and it's not so easy in between games to know, should we still go with our drop? Maybe they'll split, maybe they won't, and a lot of decisions have to be made on the fly, so we'll have to see if they can make the transition. But I do want to highlight the circle that we have here. This is really highlighting a lot of tree, western sorting, southern harvester, as well as far west thermal still in. And we've seen circles like this, and we saw it in even the last Apex tournament at OT6, part of the ALGS, that this open ground south of harvester on the tracks west of sorting, even things just east of tree, there's a lot of potential end circles here in that open ground. But this will be very similar to game number 1, Rain, in terms of teams having to leave main POIs much earlier than they want to move into open areas to get into zone.
You're absolutely right, and you can see that Harvester is already contested quite heavily. It's one of the good spots, I think, for Myth, who's had a relatively poor showing to start out in these first 2 games, not really being able to place up how they would have expected in the top end of the lobbies, now only sitting, I believe, at around 15th total with 4 points to their name, but typically landing Harvester, so that should make for a pretty solid end game, so we'll have to see how that turns out as well. Catching along with another team that's been performing quite well and getting involved in a ton of fights and action. It's BTX. That's Dex there with the Evo. 92 damage away from being leveled up completely, and that's going to put him on a level 3. And they're just going to hold this building right now as the Gibraltar defensive bombardment is weighing down on their building.
Also, ggvale picking up some kills on SJP2 in the feed. We'll keep an eye on that off screen. But right now, like you said, the side of BTX holding and then controlling for just a moment. Looks like they are going to zip up and out as well, but not before. As you saw, ggvale taking down one player. That was Jelly Corn, the Watson on SJP2. So they need to be very careful here.
And SJB2 still sitting around a few positions higher than Myth, around 13th or so, and BTX right in 5th. So again, these teams doing well. And I think I want to bring back to this conversation, Broth, around where you're landing. 20 squads still remaining, so all of that, I mean, yes, it's wasted time, but luckily it didn't result in any casualties. The thing to look out for is next game. What ends up happening between these two teams who split that Mirage Voyage? And is there somebody who's going to let go of the ego of that position and say, well, we're just going to go somewhere else. We're just going to, yes, it's not what we're used to, but we cannot risk dying in a game 4 where we need these points. These are the things that start to happen when you look at this. And now more action at Mirage Voyage, and it's BTX showing up to this party to see who's involved.
And look at this, yeah, Mirage has been, I mean, more so the focus of this game more than any game I think we've watched in ALGS play. Like you said, this has been the hot spot for all these battles. And it looks like the side of BTX, they are flying in. They don't have any damage yet, but they are jumping right up right away.
Golden Barrel on the R301. He's going to hip fire that one for success, and it's looking like another one. Gold shields, they want them. That's what a competitor is thinking. We've got one down. That's my shield. But you know what? This Pathfinder, he's already got gold, so he's not afraid to take a few ticks in Zone 2 and chase his prey. They go down to the bottom, and this is a full commitment. Taxi doesn't have the Pathfinder zip line, so he's just going to try and see if he can hold and poke. He sees a purple on the Gibby. Not the Jibby, as we've been figuring out today, but I think it will allow them to say, we're just going to keep them here. Let's let them use meds, and then we'll hold them on any rotation outside.
Oh, and look at this, Fenerbahce actually dropping to low ground for a second, which based on the damage coming in, they need to be very careful about as well. But very smart push there. You saw it was mostly led by the fact that they did see Jelly Corn on the respawn. Obviously, the Mirage Beacon was where that respawn came in. They pushed that advantage, very easily able to pick up that kill. They won't finish the extras that you see that did escape all the way down to right around Spring's End, but not really to worry. It was still an aggressive and confident push from their side, as we also take a look here at Gamers Origin, MP Sirius, as well as Ocean.
Fenerbahce, he was massive inside as well. Big shots, that's a down onto Myth. We were just talking about them. The circle that benefits the landing seems to not change the outcome here as Myth loses 1 and 2, and now they're looking to lose maybe one more, but Fenerbahce are in just similar dire straits as well. The Mastiff, the only thing hiding behind that, maybe a quick kill and a shield swap, a headshot for that. He's going to grab the blue, but the grenade, it's going to knock him down as well, and so this is looking bad. But Draconian, he's moved outside, and he's fighting now. He's got to win this one because it looks like Myth Sherp is actually able to find a kill onto Fenerbahce as well.
Yeah, it was a tough battle. Neither of these teams, they're both at the bottom of the table. Neither of them want to be in a battle like this at Tree this early, both trying to get some very valuable real estate for the late game with 20 squads still up, taking a lot of damage. We'll have to see who edges this one out. At this point, both teams would be happy just to make it into the later rounds just because we've seen them take so much damage and once again get into battles that they would have preferred to avoid.
And this is a good angle. He's got visuals on the entirety of that hallway, and so he's just going to res. And I think he's assuming there may be a res on the other side as well. They know they've both got one finished at the very least of this. And the Watson content to just hold on and play for placements again. Not even a conversation, Rob. No teams this far along. Okay, just one. Sure, if he goes down, it seems like the eventual fight will go the way of Fenerbahce. But up until that point, no teams have gone down in this lobby. This is setting up for some fireworks towards the end of the game as this looks to end out in the open potentially, as you were mentioning near the train tracks.
Absolutely. Myth is the first one out, and like we said, they've been having a tough tournament so far. Let's not forget a team that had, I mean, they're back in the mix this tournament. They were first place in online tournament number 4, yet right now they sit right around 15th or 14th in this tournament, and they've had some tough luck in the first 3 games. If they want to squeak out a respectable result, they will need very impressive games in the latter parts of this tournament. But now once again taking a look at BTX. Now one thing I want to highlight about BTX, Rain, that I love is they are here once again on a tiebreak for 8th place in their semifinal, and they are playing like they've got nothing to lose, right? They made it into this event and now they are playing with aggression and confidence.
Well, you know what? Sometimes they say the sharpest swords are forged in the hottest steel, right? In the hottest fires. You know what I mean? And I think when you look at when you go through the arduous journey of qualifying and you almost make it, but you have to do everything you can to do it, you bring a level of alertness, hyper-focus, intention, and I think just adversity that you've overcome, that it does lead into some momentum in these final things. We've seen them in so many different esports, and especially with Apex and Battle Royales, where momentum, good fights, good starts, those things matter, and they allow you to really take that into your future games and with your team comms as well, as far as how you trust in one another. It seems to be that those stories keep showing up, and I don't think it's a coincidence anymore. They have been playing fantastic Apex Legends today, and that's why we've been talking about them so much. Currently sitting in 5th, a big game here could push them to the top of the leaderboard, and that's what they're playing for. Currently outfitted with plenty of weapons to do so. Havocs, R9s all around the board. As we tilt over to another team you've been mentioning quite a bit, Brav, here in Ksania and XCHOK.
Absolutely. And BTX, we got to highlight, not only are they looking good, but they're also in 5th place right now. This is a team that qualified on a tiebreak in last place in their European region and are now in 5th place. And they're looking really good here. They're also on Thermal Ridge, really good control spot. You can see they're able to kind of poke, do as much damage as they want, and get back if they need to hold this Thermal Ridge. It's a really powerful spot, one we see held all the time when circles pull this direction. Right now, they're forced to retreat just a bit as they take a lot of damage from that western side. They're going to pull back the Thermal Ridge, but they will have a fairly easy rotation here on this edge. Now, keep in mind, they are a path team, so it will not be as easy as maybe other teams. However, they're looking pretty good in armor, but like you said, we also have to keep an eye on the side of xaniw. That is the side that's going to not only have Ksania, but also XDH, MK players, Rugby, and Sanyo Dusuyo. That is a Ukrainian-Russian squad that is so strong and a force to be reckoned with. We'll talk about them a little bit later because we're back on board with BTX here as they make their move through Thermal Station, if you will.
And one of the things about this rotation from them that I think is going to benefit is that they've got pretty good eyes on where their approach is coming from and who is pressuring them out. And they've got cover to deal with it. They've got the ability to notice 303 started pushing. They had a defensive bombardment that they pushed away from and now have rotated around. And the Scout, you know, as much as it's good, it's not the same type of weapon that in previous metas when this was on every single member of a team and had a faster fire rate and had more damage to it, you were going to essentially be able to knock someone traveling in open space. It's going to do well. It's going to help the Evos, but it is not at that level right now currently. But look at that. Just as I say it, the Scout shows up and knocks a little bit of the gold shield, but that's just 2 shield cells away from being right back to full. 303 look to maybe push this here as Rondon looks to get himself into a portal, into a faster and heavier position.
Yeah, look at Rondon right now up top. Gonna have that height. We'll see if he's gonna actually port back, but right now just gonna play this out, see what kind of poke damage he can get. Of course, he is their Wraith on the purple. Definitely has the comfort to move around and move freely to see what damage he might be able to get on the side of BTX, but needs to be careful because, as we said, BTX is shooting as a unit. And as we look away, it looks like more players might have taken that port. Need to be careful because BTX had so much damage on them.
And And now Taxi has to push because, you know what, I think this is just good stuff. They find one, and that's Bambino, who falls 303. Could they have pushed and now come out on the worst end of their aggression? Baker, he's the one with the portal now, and he's going to help his teammates have a safe spot to go in and out of this building. Mastiff in hand, Wingman in the other. It's a dangerous composition. Gibraltar, Dome Shield, buying them 12 seconds of time. They're going to heal up. Clone just trying to make sure that he's ready for the eventual fight because they know it'll happen. They know Bambino is down. They've got to hit their shot. And so far, they are doing it, Brav, with a little bit of havoc, but Bambino is lost. This is where they decide, do we commit or do we just try to bide our time and get out of here?
Absolutely, this is a tough spot for 303. As we saw, they took that portal against the side of BTX, and you have no doubt, right? We saw it on screen. I'm not surprised that we saw 303, specifically Rondon, call that the portal was safe, because at that moment it was safe. They all came through the port, and that's when BTX laid down so much damage together. But now SJP2 is in a world of hurt.
Yeah, this is problems right here. Flavor of the month as well is who they're fighting. So this is a great squad that is ready to push them. But look at this, Outsiders as well in the top right hand of the kill feed, taking down Max Strafe and Sir Dell. Does that mean GSD has fallen? Not quite yet. We don't know where Nasky is. Keep an eye on that 19 squads up top in your view. Now, we got to keep paying attention here to Rondon, who is on an Evo shield. He has leveled it up. You can see why he was being aggressive there, knowing that he has to get to that red Evo before this late game to have the advantage, but he's lost Bambino. He's got Clone down. Taxi, Baker, and Thex playing this patiently. They know where they are, and they're just going to say, come on out, fella. We know you got to come somewhere over here, and we're going to be ready for you with Mastiffs in hand, and that's just going to be Clone looking to fall. Another kill for Thex and the squad here of BTX.
Brent, I gotta say, the kill feed just went absolutely nuts. A lot happening off screen there. We just went from 17 squads to 13 squads. Huge fights. Didn't exactly catch where they were on screen, but my God, the lobby just thinned out real quick. As we said, there's a lot of open space here, and really the only elevation difference is in our final circle here, which is just north of Tree, as Gambit gets into a battle, so I'll pause and interrupt myself here. We'll take a look at this.
I like this mid-ground, although you do have to clear this team on your left if you can. Arcstars will do it. There's no Watson ult, so they're going to just have to push somewhere. Otherwise, they're going to get cracked, and they do. They're going to stay there. Oh my God, the Thermite is burning as well. There is nothing to do. This should be an EVA clean, but no, Gambit. It seems like Hardeki gets pushed, and he gets downed. And so Gambit now have to figure out, is it worth heading over, trying to get Hardeki? He is in the same spot they were able to nade without any help from Watson. The pylon is not there. And so this is a bit of a call here. Hardeki trying to let his teammates know what he sees, but he doesn't see much, and this is the risk. I think they're going to go for it, have one try to push. They might get it, and there it is. This could be a finish as well, but this is where they got down, and now Hardeki needs the Phoenix kit, so he's out of this fight, but it looks like Gambit could be able to finish this off, Rob.
Wow, really good baiting and switching there as they're going to swap players in there as one player heals, another player goes to finish. The reason they're being so careful is because we do have also xaniw putting some shots down. They were the third party on that Gamers, Origin, and Gambit battle. As we go back over to the station, still with BTX holding their ground.
And look at this. I mean, BTX have just fought and fought and fought for the same position, and they're doing well to earn it. This zone is going to hurt a little bit more, though, and they're going to have to get out of here. There's no easy way to run it. I think that's going to be it. I don't think there's a way around there. I've been caught in that exact same position. Take an eye in your right-hand side. Baker FPS, he's going to fall to the ring. And oh my goodness, was the rotation just too late? It's Thex as well. They go down to the ring. They stayed way too long, and now Gambit are the storyline to follow here. They've got a Watson interception pylon in the middle of nowhere saying, please, God, please help us, save us, as so many Watsons have done in the past. And you know, it's the Havoc, actually, Rob, who comes to the rescue with some huge damage, giving them a bit of respect.
A pylon and a prayer for Gambit there. That's really all they had, but just below the tracks, as we also see, once again, we're finally getting to see xaniw into the late game. As a reminder, this is XCHMK along with Tanya of LG fame. Great damage here for Gambit as well, though, as we're now just down to 5 squads left.
And Gambit are in a very good position, very similar to what we saw Dead Inside use against Outsiders, against gnaskestrafedel. And this looks like Outsiders are in trouble. They've got the fence and they've got the zone. Low ground here going crazy here, and it looks like Alliance is going to be taken out by Outsiders yet again, continuing to clean up the lobby. Second place, 8 kills last game, and it looks like they could be in for another one as well. But Nags, he is fighting with the purple shield. Joke inviting, they're holding this little bit, and it's working so far as Outsiders now with xaniw getting pushed, and it's xaniw who come out on top, Rob. Top 3 here, and it looks like it could be xaniw fighting for the win.
And Now we see Gambit. I believe it's Gambit, ggvale, and xaniw are our final three. Gambit's actually going to get aggro port here as they're going to fly through. So much damage coming through. Actually, they lose one. That's going to be Artico, Hardeki, and Leogri trying to win this. They actually are forced back, and they're going to have to do a little bit of a portal dance here as it's going to be actually ggvale's the first one to go down. 2 squads left.
And Gambit, Hardeki, he's coming in with the EVA 8. He breaks the shield, but he will be broken himself. Fantastic finish. Gambit not quite able to do it, but
scored a whopping 11 kills. Now this is awesome because we haven't seen too many double-digit kill scores over these 4 matches. We saw, you know, obviously that first match, we saw 15 kills coming out from Dead Inside. And then also here in this game, we have been keeping an eye on Dead Inside overall and within each match. And they came out, looks like 8th in this match with 5 kills. So they are still kind of plugging along. Jayla, are you worried at all for Dead Inside overall? And do you think that they need to step it up at all to get one of those top 3 spots?
They're definitely placing consistently. They got 5 kills there and placed 8th, so that's going to do a lot for them since they already had the most points to begin with. So I'm not really too worried about them, especially since they are placing top 10 every time.
Yeah, and as we can see, looking at the overall points, you know, I just got proved wrong right there. They are still in number 1. They still have 46 points. It's insane. That amazing first game that they had, I guess, really set the stage. And then even though they had a few matches where we didn't see a whole lot out of Dead Inside, they still have been playing decently. They've been playing definitely better than I could play, at the very least. They've been playing still pretty well overall, and they're still managing to snag that top 1 spot. So, you know, things are settling in. We only have 1 more match left of the
as we roll into our next game.
And one thing that's important to note, you got to give respect where respect is due. 3/4 of those teams, that's Dead Inside, Gambit, and xaniw, coming from the CIS, the Commonwealth of Independent States, and Ukraine and Russia to be particular. So Russia, Ukraine standing up, CIS standing up in a big way here in the kickoff of our summer circuit. It's finally heating up over there. I know they go through some cold winters, so perhaps the summer circuit is where they best thrive. But big shout out to Russia, Ukraine so far in this one. Dead Inside and Gambit are neck and neck. Gambit is also playing for the unique opportunity to be the only team to have repeat as champions since the online tournament structure kicked off in February. So interested to see if Gambit can do it, or will we see Dead Inside pick up where they left off after game number 1 with a dominant 15-kill game. By the way, that's the most amount of kills we've seen so far in all 3 games so far.
And we're going to start off from the point of view of Gamers Origin, who haven't had the most impressive performance at the moment. They kind of sat down at the bottom of the table, but we're kind of using this POV just to see where that ship is going to be moving from the north to the south, fairly central. So good for teams who are going to be dropping in the north of the map, and obviously central as well. A little bit more difficult for those teams who have got to loot up and move quickly on the south side of the map. So looking at, hopefully, our first circle as soon as we do get these teams out of the dropship, and we can see where those teams are going to have to make the rotations. And once again, if we're going to see a challenge over here on Mirage Voyage.
Yeah, last time we did see the Flying Camels play up against ggvale. One thing to point out, we did get a hot zone over at Sorting Factory. Well, that's actually where Gambit drops, and usually drops uncontested. I believe they got it uncontested, so that's going to be quite a bit of loot. Looks like ggvale does not want the early fight. Wise decision from them, but it's going to be Pinky, Finky, Tinky, and the Flying Camels that are playing ultra aggressive, recognizing, hey, we are behind. We need to play for kills, and playing for a bit of a grief here on ggvale.
Yeah, not the worst idea either, because if you saw ggvale, they were trying to escape. They didn't have great weapons. They had a couple of players, I think, without armor as well, and every single player here on the Flying Camels had, well, they had 2 blues, they had weapons, they had a shield on microfibers as well, so not the worst idea to try and get aggressive on this push and try and finish off with some early kill points in the game.
Look at the skill of Nags. Despite being at an armor disadvantage and weapon disadvantage, Nags is actually going to down Tiki Tiki. However, microfibers downs Joke and biting, so it looks like Nags is going to be the last alive, and the aggression coming through for the Flying Camels should pay off. However, I believe one of his teammates, Pinky Tinky, currently downed. Microfibers hunting Nags for his last kill in a 2-versus-1 fight with some grenades. You got to think they should just play this wide. They should be able to clean this up. Yes, they do. ggvale, despite a strong game number 3, is going to get taken out early. It looks like some nades coming through. A third party potentially is lurking.
Yeah, that's the one thing. If people start recognizing that there's going to be early fights going on, they might, try and rotate in early and pick up some KP themselves while that fight is going down. But they've done a pretty good job here to get out of dodge and survive, essentially, from that third party. But now they're looking across the board. I don't think they've got many meds to work with. They're going to have to loot and find an interesting loot path to get back up to a full complement of health. So 3 KP on the board, and 3, of course, going to microfibers, as you can see here, playing on the Wraith. And a strong start for them, winning that battle. However, they're going to have to think about their rotation now and also make sure that they're going to be able to loot up as well.
Yeah, and again, keep in mind, they were in 17th place going into game number 4, hence why they have to play that aggressive. But that is the interesting storylines we're going to get with these super regionals. These two regions colliding. Every region has a different play style. We remember, again, in Poland at the Krakow preseason invitational, we had the Korea region playing particularly aggressive, and that was the storyline that we talked through throughout the entirety of that tournament. Well, now we have Middle East and Africa who seem to play a little bit more aggressive as well, whereas the European region typically will drop and they won't fight as much early game. They play more for placement. They kind of respect early drops, and even games 4 and 5 when you need to, they don't play that aggressive. We've seen something a little bit different here this time around.
Yeah, we're seeing the fight come in here around Lava City. However, I want to talk about that circle. We had the opportunity to see the Pathfinder beacon and also an opportunity to see how vital it is to know where that second circle is going on your first rotation. If you're a team who's playing Gibraltar and doesn't have a Pathfinder at the moment, then you're kind of thinking, maybe looking at that circle, hey, this could be epicenter. However, if you've got the Pathfinder beacon, you know that epicenter is going to be not the best place to be because you're going to have to rotate again if you do move into that position. It looks like that Pathfinder beacon has let us know that that third circle is going to be taking in some of Overlook, it's going to be taking in some of Fragment East and some of the no-name compound just outside of Fragment East. So teams who do have that Pathfinder beacon are certainly going to be an advantage here on the rotation.
That's exactly right. We were on board with gnaskestrafedel, who play and actually drop at Fragment, so they got to be positioned pretty well. Gambit, another team that plays for Sorting Factory and has an opportunity to get an early rotation over as well. That's another team we got to look out for. And of course, Gambit also runs Pathfinder. They're able to pick up the beacon over at Sorting Factory, so they have that intel. Flavor of the month, the squad that we talked about, are they next up? They have been improving so much. Well, they're currently sitting, I believe, in 11th place. They need to have a big game 4 and 5, as they also run a Pathfinder to get that early intel. But that inside, the squad that chooses for that Gibraltar comp instead does not get that intel. Sometimes it turns into, hey, follow the Pathfinders. You can see them rotating, and you just kind of follow their rotations early.
Yeah, if you can see a Pathfinder, you use that information to your advantage if you are not running one yourself. And having the Gibraltar here, they're going to be in a pretty good position, but essentially what they're going to be doing now is waiting for a spot to become available within that next circle, trying to formulate their rotation from there. But over to Outsiders now, who have had a pretty good tournament so far, to be honest with you. They've been pretty consistent across the board and getting into some decent positions towards those final circles, just not able to clutch up in those big moments. But a game 4 here where they do so might give them the opportunity to really launch themselves up that leaderboard and, ahead of a game 5, fill themselves with confidence as well.
That's exactly right. And Outsiders currently sitting in 3rd place, the only team not from the CIS in that top 4. Well, looks like they're hunting for some kills. They want a big game. Let's go ahead and jump into a listen-in with Team Outsiders.
Blue even
get under. I'm gonna make TP in the house.
We can't cross. We can't go there.
Don't take TP.
Guys, stay, coming back. Stay stabilized on the bridge.
Yeah. I'm fine.
He's on roof. Arkstar.
I might die. I'm on.
I'm not pushing. I'm popping your taxer on too. Jen.
Good call. Almost through
I cannot even talk, bro.
It's fine. The zone's not gonna go there at all. Like, that's like... If we stay here, one team's gonna try to fight us, like, edge. Can you watch back? I need to watch fucking what's happening again from... The big house is not taken. I don't think the big house is taken.
There were people on the roof.
I don't see any fences, but...
And we are back from a listen in with the 2 French and 1 Swede as we get to hear some insights into their rotations, which I personally love. It's not often. Usually we jump into listen-ins when it's a crazy hectic fight. We don't get to really understand how they calm, how they make decisions, and where they choose to rotate. You heard them at the very end say, I think the big house is not taken. Well, they said that because they didn't see any Watson fences, and that means they might be able to play for that rotation if they do so choose. However, switching over to Gambit here, Hardeki, one of their lead slayers and top players. Of course, their Wraith is taken out early. That's going to leave Gambit in a pretty rough spot as they have outsiders in 3rd place right behind and trying to keep up on them.
Yeah, 2nd place team, like you mentioned there, and losing the Wraith is not going to be great for them. The one good thing for them is they do have a spot within the potential end zone, so they're going to be pretty much set up, and they don't really have to overcommit, and they've got the Watson up as well, so although they've lost the Wraith, which would help them obviously on rotations and in those straight gunfights, having the Watson still alive is going to be huge for them just to hold down that position. However, if anyone realizes that is a 2-man and they want to push on that position, well, they've got to be careful and they've got to hit their shots as well.
Exactly right. So I think they will be able to be. We always say when you take position, look as big as possible. Put these Watson fences as wide as possible. Make it seem like there's a 3-man there, and typically that should do the trick. And especially when you're left with 2 people left, you just want to look as big as possible. You want to look as scary as possible, so people don't realize they have that advantage on you, which typically does work in your favor if you're in these positions or these houses on the campsite outside of Fragment. Meanwhile, on board with our winners from last game, it was xaniw who put themselves in a nice 4th place position. They're not too far behind, so we thought Dead Inside had a huge pop-off in game 1. And since Europe typically is pretty well kill dispersed, the kills are dispersed across teams evenly, we thought that might be enough for Dead Inside, but really these teams have been doing a good job clawing their way back into the action, xaniw being one of them. We'll keep an eye on the former CHMK and Luminosity Gaming mixture roster here in this one.
You can hear they've got a team above them at the moment, and they're just putting those Watson fences down to make sure that anyone who drops is going to have a little bit of a surprise when they hit the ground and be slowed down, and really going to struggle, to be honest with you. And it looks like they've rotated away from that truck position that they were in, so interesting that they obviously have pretty good knowledge on where this zone might potentially be going. But over to one of our teams, including the greatest name player that we've ever seen in the ALGS, of course, Pinky Finky Tinky, just moving their way down from the south side of the map towards the north side of the map, just overlooking Fragment. And Alliance, who had lost a player as well in IPN, back on the Caustic here, John. So a little bit of a mid-game and a mid-tournament change from them as far as legend composition is concerned.
Yeah, I like to see the adjustment. They're currently sitting in 11th place, 15 points. They're quite behind, and they're going to make that adjustment. They're going to play for Caustic, which you'd like to see mid-game. If it's not working, try and fix it. Try and make that change. Don't just try and fight pound for pound. It looks like a Rez is coming through here, and an easy kill, free kill for SJP2, as IPN's going to get taken out early. It was Alliance that was trying to get their teammate back up.
Yeah, unfortunate greeting back into World's Edge there for IPN. I mean, not exactly the way that you want to re-announce yourself. You want to be excited about things. You want to go and get some revenge. But I'm pretty sure he didn't even hit the floor before he was back into his death box. So SJP2 picking up that essentially free kill on the map is going to give them an extra KP to work with. But 1 minute or so until round 2 is closing. And no surprise to see 19 squads alive once again. Europe and the EMEA region making sure that they're playing this one nice, slow, and trying to position themselves for that late game.
Yep, and it looks like Disbelief, Sidyama of Dead Inside, picking up some kills in the kill feed at the top right as well, so they are trying to distance themselves in that first place spot. We just saw SJP2. I'd categorize them in a list of teams that we'd expect to be in the top 10, especially with so many new teams that we haven't seen a lot of or kind of unproven. But we have Alliance, Flavor of the Month, Gamers Origin, SJP2, North, Myth, Third Impact, currently in 11th through 20th place. Many of those rosters, well, they've won previous tournaments. You expect them to be doing well here. So we'll see if they can step up in games 4 and 5. Currently on board with a team that has stepped up big time. It is Dead Inside, as we've seen them pick up a few kills earlier on.
And just to touch upon that point that you made, those teams who are just outside the top 10 now, we're into game 4, and normally in our previous online tournaments, we'd kind of be thinking maybe their tournament run is going to be over. They don't have a shot with winning. But the fact that they can qualify directly into the next tournament by placing inside that top 10, that means they don't have to go through the stress and the strain of those online qualifiers to make it next time around. So everything to play for still for these teams who are just even sitting at the bottom, Lava City Boys. If they can put in a big game, you could shoot up into that 10th place and qualify for the next tournament.
That's a great point. Big difference in our previous online tournaments, really those 11th through 20th places where we didn't really talk a whole lot. There was not a whole lot to chat about, not a whole lot for them to play for and trying to get to top 10. But top 10 makes a big difference now as you will qualify early on. Currently on board Furry Kit of Explosion. Well, that's a team that we maybe didn't expect to be in that top 10. They're currently sitting in, I think, 9th or 10th place as they're trying to secure their spot as an automatic qualifier for the finals of the next Summer Circuit tournament. Currently watching Wraith, aka Furry Kit, and now on board with Segura. One thing to keep in mind is the ring, of course, where the rotation came through. We saw SJP2 up towards Refinery earlier, so they had to place a rotation. BTX now currently outside of the ring as well. Looks like the ring did pull towards the campsite, so I'm not sure. We were on board earlier with Outsiders. I'm not sure if they ended up taking that big house, but that'd be a great position for them to be in this current ring, based on how things have shaped out.
Yeah, Taxi's going to have to... Ooh, I was just going to say, he's going to do his best to maybe try and get some reses on, but just as he hit that grapple, he got absolutely nailed by a massive shot, as well as some scout shots across the map here from LCB. So, difficult position for them to find themselves in, and it hasn't worked out for them. So, 17 squads now remaining, 45 seconds left on ring number 3. This is where we normally see the big drop-off in teams, where this... spots that people are trying to hold down become contested as teams move in from the edge of the ring. So keep an eye on that kill feed, because you get the feeling, like the previous 3 games, that it's going to start to light up in all sorts of colors.
That's a good call out. Lava City boys, who I believe doesn't even drop Lava City, they drop Geyser, especially according to one of the best coaches we have in Apex Legends, is the one and only the EMEF. Who, by the way, this is his last tournament he'll be coaching. He's going to be taking some time off for personal reasons. Big shout out to the EMEF, one of our top coaches, kind of analysts in the European region. For some of the intel, on board now with Nasr, a winner of game number 2. They popped off, and they are currently sitting in top 7, but it looks like they're in a dangerous spot right now. Pathfinder's forced to hit that Wraith portal and leave his team to dodge, but it looks like IMOHA is able to survive some way, somehow. Poor MO is going to get taken out.
Yeah, they get taken out, and you know, you were saying that they were trying to pop off. The only thing that was popping there was their shields as they tried to make that rotation in. It really was a little bit of a rough one, but they've managed to keep 2 players alive and find themselves a spot that they can work with. One team that we haven't talked too much about in this tournament so far, who are having a little bit of a rough time, to be honest with you, is Team North, and sat down at the bottom third of the table, but set up in a pretty good position there in Overlook, where they can be pretty comfortable with their rotation, as we see another rotation now coming in. And this is where we see the death dropping. This is where we see teams dropping, like you can see here. Teams with superior earlier positioning are just able to pick off these teams who are trying to rotate in desperately late to stay in this game number 4.
Yep, and 303, and notice their team composition playing Gibraltar. Those teams typically play the outside of rings because you do have a dome shield to use if you choose so. Looks like a defensive bombardment is going to be dropped right there to try and keep the team that they were hunting alive, and that's going to be enough for 303 to back out and reset. They don't want to push through that ultimate of the Gibraltar, and even though they had some good damage, they saw a good fight, they wanted to poke with it. A smart ultimate coming through from the opponent team.
Yeah, good job from 303 as well, having not picked up any downs there to just get out of dodge and stay alive and not overcommit and take damage from some of these other teams that are in position to do so. But Outsiders here set up in this big building, like you mentioned, within the circle, but they're going to have to move as well, as we do see that ring shift up to that high ground around those rocks. And that is where the team that we saw win our last game, xaniw, were positioned underneath that rope jump up, where those pillars are, where the little platform is above, and I think it might be finishing around that area. So they're in a pretty good position to potentially make a late push up to that position, try and take it and really hold it down. But teams here, I think a lot of them might have been betting on this ending around this outside compound, like you can see here, and now they're going to have to rotate through, and they're going to have to fight each other to try and find one of those spots in that end circle.
Oh, to look at the top right of my screen, it looks like gnaskestrafedel picking up some kills on Explosion, which is crucial because they're fighting for 7th, 8th, 9th place right now. They're in that scenario. Looks like we're back on board with Outsiders. In about 35 seconds, they will be forced to take a rotation thanks to the ring closing in. They ended up taking the big building that they spotted earlier, so it's interesting to see where they've ended up in this scenario. Now it's even more interesting to see how they play this rotation. Let's go ahead and jump into a listen as they're jumping into a fight here with Outsiders.
She's gonna fence.
Yeah, that's fine. Just walk slow, it's fine. We can walk slow.
I don't have any more.
They went to the house.
No, no, he's gonna pick you. He's gonna pick you.
Enemy over there.
Oh, I got destroyed.
I'm fine. I need to kill back. I need to pop a phoenix where I am.
That's in zone. No. No, that's not.
Give it, Rocket. We just have to cross like right. We just have to cross right, to be honest.
50 for Watson. Correct, Watson.
There's one knock. They have one knock. All right. Holy fuck. too hard of a zone. It's way too hard. We should have dropped on them, I think, way earlier. It was free for us.
Probably.
You're being aimed at.
And a unfortunate rotation, a tough zone undoubtedly for the outsiders as they get caught out in that fight. They get taken out, which again, crucial. The top 3 finishers will get a prize pool in addition to a guaranteed spot in the playoffs in September. Outsiders currently sitting in 3rd. xaniw, I believe, is still alive as well. So we'll keep an eye on those standings as we're jumping into late game. 11 squads remain in this one, currently on board with 303.
And this is where the action is really starting to pick up. That kill feed is lighting up. Wingman, R9, every single weapon is doing the damage it needs to do. And the defensive bombardment from a Gibraltar is going to come in. The question is, can they get the interception piling down in time to stop the big damage coming in? They did manage to do so, but they have found themselves in a little bit of a vulnerable position as we jump on board with North here. The team that were rotating in from Overlook, they're in a pretty good spot here. However, you can see in front of them all of the big real estate that could be potentially involved in that end zone is taken. So every team who is on the outside of those battles right now is going to have to force their way in, and the only way to do that is with some brute force.
Exactly right. And Gibraltar kind of helps you in those scenarios as well, as we're currently board of dead inside. One of those teams that are going to have to be forced into that rotation. They're so far from the ring. They're going to have to rely on the dome shield of the Gibraltar, and in that team comp, it looks like the Gibraltar's still alive for 303 as well, so they might have an opportunity. Again, the trend stays true. Gibraltar teams playing the outskirts or the edge of the ring in these Pathfinders rotating so early. We know gnaskestrafedel is one Pathfinder team that is currently well positioned. We keep seeing them get killed. I believe they are still alive. I've not seen them drop. Currently on board with Dead Inside as they are playing this rotation well. Going to get some great shots for free on a Wraith. It's going to be Rugby. That is a crucial kill. That's against a team that's creeping up in the leaderboard as well. It's former CHMK, xaniw.
Yeah, the only problem is this could be the end of their game as he is going to be taken down, and the team that is pushing them, well, it's the team who won our last game. They have lost one player, but they managed to stay alive and come back for that fight, and now it's going to be all down to Zan. You can hear the Devo shots coming in. Can he get the armor swap away to try and stay alive? Somehow he can, and now in this position, he's desperately trying to stay alive, look for placement points, hope the other teams are going to be fighting each other, but unfortunately for him, the action and the zone is a little bit too hot for him to deal with, and they will go down.
2 squads remain in this one. One of them is Gamers Origin, another team that is so good with positioning and placement. They're going up against 3rd Impact, I believe, Ziki, another player of that former ggvale roster that's had such an impact on the teams that they have joined. Of course, Ad Hoc Gaming is one of them. They're not showing up in this tournament, but now currently on board with Ziki of former ggvale, currently playing for the 3rd Impact roster, 3 versus 3 against Gamers Origin.
Yeah, Gamers Origin, we said they need to improve that end game. This is a perfect example and an opportunity for them to do so. If they can clutch up in these moments, it would be big for them. Mpe doing his best to land some shots. However, again, it looks like it's a similar situation for them. They can't get their shots that they need to, and they're going to be dropping left, right, and center, and they will lose the battle, and 3rd Impact will manage to hold on towards the end there to get that win. Phenomenal stuff from them, but unfortunately for Gamers Origin, like I mentioned,
so 3rd Impact Black, alongside that first place placement, they scored a whopping 11 kills. Now this is awesome because we haven't seen too many double-digit kill scores over these 4 matches. We saw, obviously that first match, we saw 15 kills coming out from Dead Inside. And then also here in this game, we have been keeping an eye on Dead Inside overall and within each match, and they came out, looks like 8th in this match with 5 kills, so they are still kind of plugging along. Jayla, are you worried at all for Dead Inside overall, and do you think that they need to step it up at all to get one of those top 3 spots?
They're definitely placing consistently. They got 5 kills there and placed 8th, so that's going to do a lot for them since they already had the most points to begin with. So I'm not really too worried about them, especially since they are placing top 10 every time.
Yeah, and as we can see, looking at the overall points, I just got proved wrong right there. They are still in number 1. They still have 46 points. It's insane. That amazing first game that they had, I guess, really set the stage. And then even though they had a few matches where we didn't see a whole lot out of Dead Inside, they still have been playing decently. They've been playing definitely better than I could play, at the very least. They've been playing still pretty well overall, and they're still managing to snag that top 1 spot. So you know, things are settling in. We only have one more match left of the day. So what do you think this does to the mentality of some of the teams if they're looking at that overall standings list and they see names like Dead Inside at the top? What do you think it does to the mentality?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are here starting off a little bit earlier here into the game, or a little bit later, I should say. Rainday and Bravo skipping the cams, going straight into the action because it's game 5, Brav, which means all the marbles on the line, not just for today, making a victory out of your performances, a top 3 setting you up for super regional finals at the end of it, and of course the top 10 qualifying you for that tournament as well, as far as the next tournament, excuse me, for the super regional here. So many things to play for, Rob, and so many teams who are, you know, potentially in the money.
Dude, so many storylines coming into this. So happy to be calling the 5th and final game with you. We're getting on a beacon here, and things are going dead center of the map. Just look at how much cliff and terrain is in this pull. Things are going to get very tricky with these chokes, depending on exactly where this pulls. It can still pull to the east of the train yard tunnel. All of Harvester is still in the tiniest corner of Fragment, and really nothing left in sorting. So going to be very interesting to see exactly how this pulls. But like we said, chokes are going to be a huge factor here. If you're just joining us, this is the 5th and final game in the EMEA Super Region. Dead Inside right now with the lead, with xaniw close behind them in second. As a reminder, though, Rain, it really is about top 3 here, because the top 3 from this Super Regional will advance to the September playoff, with the top 10 advancing to the next tournament automatically.
And you're talking about here a big moment for Gamers Origin. He, you know, Sirius is going to have to make something serious out of this, and he's going to have to get this R9 spray. He can't! The one bullet is the difference! Oh my goodness! Gamers Origin is out to Lava City, boys, who are in 20th place right now. Gamers Origin were a top 5 team. That is news that will be hitting all of the social channels across all Apex Legends media right now, and especially in-game, knowing that, wow, we have a spot to move up from here. Third Impact Black, who is right behind Geo, is extremely happy about that, as well as BTX, who've been playing some really good Apex in the last 4 games.
Yeah, we'll get to that story, but right now we're on with the Lions, who's actually in 12th place right now. So this is an important game. Keep in mind, they are playing for that top 10 spot. If they can get a solid performance in game number 5, we could see them definitely auto-advancing into the next Super Regional, or maybe even making a run for top 3. But just like that, they will be in a lot of trouble with only IPM, the Caustic, left.
And this is huge because, again, top 10 is that instant qualification, but the fact is that they're not there yet. And the same thing goes for Gamers Origin, not there in the top 3. And though top 10 seems pretty secure, you never know if these teams from the bottom keep having these upsets here. Nasr as well is the team that they're fighting, who had that incredible game win, but only find themselves 20 points right ahead of gnaskestrafedel. But Alliance, IPN with a nice armor swap there, goes off the Evo. He's got the Mastiff. Grenade at the door. He's going to pop out. That should be more damage. He's not. He's meleeing him. Oh my god, and that's Alliance going down as well. So this game has started off with some fireworks indeed. Alliance getting kicked out as well as Gamers Origin, 2 of the premier teams in Europe.
Do we also see, I believe, GSD in the feed also going down? That will be your first 3 that exit, but now, my god, what an opening. Like you said, so many things to talk about that off the break, but for a moment we see Dead Inside there, and man, oh man, what a start to our game number 5.
I mean, Rob, I mean, this is totally unexpected. What's your take of this? I mean, is this just people rotating faster? Is this more contested? Is this teams that haven't gotten into this action, haven't committed, now just going full throttle, saying, well, we don't have much to lose, we might as well take a big risk and gain something big?
I think what we saw just now was a lot of teams knowing that they need to rotate earlier than maybe they were used to, given how central, I mean, dead center this is pulling, so teams are maybe forced into a slightly more uncomfortable rotation. But talk about a heartbreaker for Alliance. Like we said, they were in 12, and they look like they will not be in that top 10 at the end of this based on that early exit. But just like that, we got to go over to xaniw right now, and they are in trouble. Only Rugby left. This is our second place team right now.
And he's got to get out of here. The Watson Fence already setting up the portal on the bad side. He's going to thermite it right back because they think that's safe. So this could bait out a bit of damage. But here's the deal. If he can get this res off, things can be good because they'll play around Gibraltar. and the abilities, which could buy some time and definitely force, if it is third impact Black behind fenerbahce, who is thirsting some of those kills, to not be so aggressive. And it seems like xaniw, who are in second place right now, will stay alive, but to see another giant toppled in this lobby would not surprise me at this point, bro. Anything can go in Game 5. These teams are fighting for not only their life, but some incredibly important placements that will affect their future here in Apex Legends competitive.
Another thing I talk about with GSD, they were in 10th coming into this as well, so tough early aggression that they were on the receiving end of as well. xaniw, like we said, still wants to get into that top 3, and they have a long game left if they want to do it. Flavor of the month we got to talk about as well. This is your former VP squad now looking at PJ. These guys are in 9th right now, so they're on the bubble as well. It's pretty exciting with this super regional summer circuit format. We kind of have 2 different bubbles here. Teams are fighting for that top 3, and then outside of that, you're also fighting for top 10.
Talk about a beam, man. That dude hit his shots. Taylor coming through with the R99. That's why it's the premier weapon to spray up close, because you just have so much burst potential, and you got a lot of light ammo on the map to utilize for that. Flavor of the month, flavor of the play so far is that they've gotten all the knocks on Lava City boys who were earlier on in the action with Gamers Origin. And they are going to hold up tight here, taking that portal back and just regrouping. So 16 squads left. Pretty crazy start here, but things are starting to settle down as teams making their way towards setups for the final circle, which is much more central than we've seen.
Yeah, and Third Impact Black I want to talk about, because Third Impact, I was watching their game number 4. They were in 17th coming into game number 4. 17th place, and that huge performance from them in game number 4. Keep in mind, it was a 23-point game 4. That brought them all the way to 7th right now. So they are all of a sudden part of the top 10 conversation. They came out of nowhere. Great stuff from them. They've already lost ALGS. They need to be careful here. But 15 squads left, and they need to play late into this game. But my, are they ever a team that has made a late run here.
That's a great story as well, Brav. Just to put out the fact, though, that ALGS is their Watson. Not sure if there's an easy way to get the banner. I'm not sure if they had it as well. I'll have to take a peek at them in a second. But right now, SJP2, who find themselves at the lower end of the bracket. So 10 points, a big game here, could push them into top 10 potentially. Under pressure, and that is going to be a joke going down, and SJP2 at least finding a couple of kills onto Biting and Nags. That is ggvale, who had that incredible game 3, I believe, that we casted, almost pushing in for the victory.
Yeah, ggvale, they were in 13th coming into game 5, so that's if you're on their side or rooting for those guys, an unfortunately early exit for them as we hit 14 squads left. So just like that, we've seen a lot of competition amongst the teams that are right around the 9th to the 15th spot, which means that a lot of teams that are in that top 3, top 5 are still fighting here. Let's take a look at exactly in the feed. That was going to be Rugby going down to RPR.
And look at this. You talked about Third Impact Black. I want to bring up the team that's tied with them. BTX, Baker, Vex, Taxi. These guys have been showing that they are ready to play in this lobby. Now the kill leader, as Baker runs in with the devotion, takes some high ground as well, and is willing to poke with that level 100 Battle Pass skin for the wingman here. One of the incredible, I think, changes as well, finding momentum into this and being really willing to contest and fight and coming out on top of it again and again and again. They are in prime position to move ahead since, of course, we're looking at xaniw now out, Gamers Origin now out. 2 of the top 5 teams heading into this final lobby.
Absolutely. Now as we take a look just for a second again, they have got ALGS back in Third Impact, so he is now on white and going to be looking for something a little bit better around Epicenter to upgrade, but you're absolutely right. That is big. Third Impact Black, still a team that could absolutely make a top 3 run and advance all the way to the September playoffs from this game alone. A lot of pressure on this game, right?
I mean, if you can get the value of what this game is offering, really that top 3 spot, that guaranteed slot in September, that is 2 months of training, of prep, of work that you can be more experimentative, you could be more carefree. Not that it would be something I would suggest, but it does allow you to take a load off mentally and just try things, to be willing to be more, I think, forgiving on comms and decisions. That way your team doesn't necessarily fall apart due to some of the stress that we've seen, you know, bad communication place when teams are losing and they get frustrated. Just knowing you're in September, just a huge weight off your shoulders. And I think these teams understand that, and that's why this lobby has gotten a little bit hectic as we head into the top 10 here. Still 12 squads remaining, 36 members playing in this lobby as well, as that's just a finish on Jazaz as SJP2 continue to go ahead and find kills.
Absolutely, and SJP2, a team right now that's in 18th place coming in. They have great looking armor, so we'll have to see if they can make a late run. It would need a Hail Mary to get them into the top 10, but mathematically it is possible. In looking at the numbers, they absolutely could do it if the middle of the pack falls a certain way. Now over here to Ziki, as we see Third Impact found themselves in a lot of trouble while they were off screen. We also, by the way, see BTX putting some shots into Nasr, so we'll keep an eye on that as well. That might be Nasr out. Yes, indeed, as we see in the feed, that will be Nasr, your Middle East team that actually had such a great performance earlier on in the day. They had a first place game number 2 representing the Middle East proudly. They will exit early, and they were on 11th coming in, so it's an unfortunate end of their story for today, Rain.
So many different teams, but as we continue looking at the feed, I think BTX is one I'm going to keep my eye on, and we're hopefully going to be able to have a little bit of a chance to single them out and kind of hear what they're talking about in a moment, because they have themselves in an interesting position, only finding themselves, I believe, about 18 points off of complete first place, and I think about 14 points off of second. A top 3 is reasonable. It's not hard to do. And don't forget about explosions as well. Pakistanactivegamers, these guys had a very strong game 1, found themselves in good positions. They're at 15 points. They could easily top 10 this, guaranteeing themselves a shot at second Super Regional coming up in July. So that could be something these teams are aiming for as well.
Absolutely. Now checking in back with North, exactly where they are. They're at the bottom of the table as well. They've lost Monday, but now some decent damage coming in. The baiting and switch Mastiff does come out as well. We'll see if they can win this peek and poke battle. A little bit too much damage coming in for Comfort, though, so they will try to retreat just a bit. First one that goes down is RPR. That's for the hand of the Typesport. Like you said, Explosion picking up those kills.
And this is important too. Explosion's also a team to keep an eye on potentially for listening and comms as well, because these guys are absolutely explosive right now. About to finish off a couple of more kills. Remember, they started with 15. This is pushing them into the 20. No doubt, I believe. But look at this, Segura, as the finishes are happening, drops to the outside for a kit coming out as well. And that's going to be another kill onto SJP2 and Taishin from North, who had basically been surviving as well. So the revives in the house will take place, and Explosions make it into the top 10.
Just like that, we're into our top 10. Now taking a look here once again at BTX, and they've got plenty of armor pulls and swaps available in Harvester, also setting up a little bit of zip to give them mobility if they do want to get different angles and get all the way back to home base. As you saw, purples and blues on the floor. They've got to be feeling pretty comfortable, Rain.
And not only that, they're set up for where the circle most likely looks to be ending. And as they look to set up and see who is contesting them with these gold shields, and maybe find themselves shooting at a top 3 here in qualification for September, let's go ahead and take a second to listen in and see what they're thinking.
Just making a scout portal.
Okay.
There's definitely a team up in choke, by the way. I see people.
Yeah.
There's
a team here as well. Yeah.
Enemy over there.
You need to come back, and we need to hold behind.
Okay.
There's 9 squads left, but we still need to hold behind.
I'm going back where we stood up.
Yep. Careful, they might have pushed up the team on the right. I don't think so. I think that might be VP.
I'm putting the armor swaps like further up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're still looking. They're still just looking. It's Pathfinder, Rafe Watson.
Yeah, see if you can get a fucking opening on them. That's all we have to do right now. I'm looking behind us.
Have to heal. We have a really, really good position. We can also just play it slow.
Yeah.
Like, this is our fucking game. We got this. Watson has purple.
Yeah.
And Rafe as well. Oh, mate, no. She went to passive charge.
Wait here if you want. Oh my god.
There's people behind us on the hill.
Okay. Look at the zone. We are chilling.
Come with me. Don't peek. Come.
I'm taking a syringe quick. What's up? I don't have portal. 50%.
Stay here. Stop. No.
Take it back.
Okay, we go. Come to me. Open the sliding door, and we're shooting them. They're puddling. Are they not? Wraith?
Died. One. It was inside. Go back up top.
I'm looking. I'm taking what she had.
Yeah. Can we make a zip here, maybe? Or is it bad? Maybe people take it. No, don't.
For now, we don't need it.
Yeah,
I'm coming back.
So they're useless. I mean.
Yeah. We have to watch here. People might take this.
Big fighting up here if you have any long range.
Okay.
Right side shooting me.
Yeah, I'm putting a zip.
Crack the Watson, 94. On here. She's
I'm
going
looking
back
at
to
him.
heal. She's on the. They have there. Jen, behind this. I don't know if this is good info. Behind this is the Jen.
Do you wanna?
Yeah, it's fine. It's the same place as ours.
Yeah, come with me. Come with me. Let us take
Yeah,
the
yeah. Okay.
fences and shit, so you just can get it for free.
I have 2 max of my Devo left.
Fine. I'm going back. You can stay.
Yeah. I'll stay close to this edge here. I'm gonna quick pick our left side here to get some info. We can get shots on this. They're standing with our backs. Gibby and Watson.
Okay, I'm with you.
Wait for him to shoot so he's focused.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, go. My bad, I missed.
I hit him twice. 28.
We hold middle. I think.
I'm
we
opening
just
door here to look. You ready to shoot on me?
I'm watching this team. They're not gonna move though. They're in perfectly center.
I took their Watson Gen in here.
Okay, nice. I have portal ready.
Portaling
Taxi.
down from the hill. Portaling down from the hill.
Okay, taxi. Tex, make a zip my.
Yeah, you have to fence that shit.
Yeah.
Make sure it's a good zip. For fence, I mean. On door. I just got so many no-regs. It's actually disgusting. Gibby's hit 50 for me.
Taking a.
Burning a lot.
I'm nading them.
Can we what? Our back is exposed. Our back is exposed. We should go back. This is not good. We don't have info on our backs.
There's people on the right. Yeah, you hold behind. I'm here. There's people on this roof. There's people on this roof behind the wall I'm pinging.
Look at next zone. We should do the slide.
And as things get more and more intense here, that was a moment with BTX calming and letting us know exactly the situation here, feeling good about their high ground, good about their positioning, and so clear and concise in how they're communicating, Brav. This is a team who's looking like they're ready to win this game, but hey, Gambit's still around as well. We see Dead Inside still around also. These teams are not going to go down without a fight, especially with so much on the line.
Absolutely amazing listening to hear the comms on the side of that team. So glad we got to spend so much time with them just to hear their thought process here as they hold that center harvester and have a lot of that interior space locked down. Like you said, Gambit, Dead Inside, BTX all still here, but we highlighted earlier, just in case you're joining us later in the day, BTX tiebreaker qualified into this in 8th place, and now they are putting on quite a run here in this tournament. But look at this battle for them. Baker forced to queue.
And this is a bit important of a rotation here because as they start to get spread out, looking to find damage and looking to poke, especially with the high ground, you can't get too overcommitted. Gambit here, high ground on this back end of Harvester, which almost looks like a ship front. I like to almost look at it as like a little bit of Harvester's pirate ship on the backside as well. And now Dead Inside as well, holding inside with Myth still involved, the team that lands Harvester typically and did not want that contested at all. Thermites of time here going, and Myth says, okay, it's time to bring the Mastiff out to play. And Sherp, he finds one knockdown there. That is flavor of the month going down with a little bit of help from Gambit as well on the backside, and 303 falling in the process. Now 5 squads left as those 2 fall.
Gambit with a great position here. This is where you want to be. This position would have gone very early. The southern tip of Harvester is so often talked about. Even if it's not closing in exactly this, anywhere around this area, you want to be holding southern tip of Harvester. But the fact that they have it and they have zone is pretty incredible. They won't even need to move, and they are definitely sitting comfortable. BTX, though, very different story for them now here.
They have to play outside, and they're not going to be able to do it. That is going to be the squad looking to go down. BTX have fought valiantly, where the kill leader will go to Outsiders, as I believe they are the ones who pushed in and found the kill. Myth here still on the underside of Harvester. Gambit taking the top side as well. Dead inside, but not dead, which is, I think, very hopeful for them to go against the namesake just this once, as we look for a top 3 finish, still first place in this lobby. Gambit looking to overcome Zanny W's point position, and that shouldn't be too hard since they fell out earlier in the day. And of course, you see Myth trying to make it into the top 10 after being 19th right now with only 7 points. A big win for them here could qualify them for the next regional drop.
So Outsiders with the highest height there, as you see, they do not have sightlines onto Gambit, who has kind of the mid-height, and then below that you just saw Dead Inside, who has an interior. They will need to move out of that interior, potentially where this pulls, but right now they are okay inside for the moment as we wait 33 seconds before we see teams absolutely having to convert. We also see Thermites coming out from Sadiyama. That door is going to be taking some damage as well. So Dead Inside definitely with the worse positioning here as they are tucked inside and going to be forced to move out of these doors. You can see playing hard edge from that interior as we do see the side of Gambit as well as Dead inside having a little bit of height. And also, I believe Myth is still in this. They should be our 4th team if I'm not mistaken.
It is Myth, it is Gambit, it is Dead inside, and it is Outsiders. 1, 3, 4, and 19 in this lobby overall as of now, and these teams battling out for prime position. With a win here, it'll do the best for their efforts. Stanny, he's going to take it back and set up that portal behind the little pill there. Take a tick of damage as well, and maybe just walk this one in. They've got the Gibraltar shield, and just want to play patiently. The nade comes through, and it looks like it may actually do damage, so he's forced to queue. Into the void he goes, and out to the void. He has an opportunity. He can still Wraith portal back just for a second tick of damage. But Gambit, they see exactly what this is all about. With the Watson ultimate set up safely, it is going to mean that, oh, they destroy it, and now the Gibraltar defensive bombardment is going to come down, and that could spell trouble.
This should be the end right there for the side of Dead inside. Yes, indeed, they will go down. Now only 3 squads left. Gambit plays that perfectly. They take their time. They knew so much time was on the clock. Now a pre-zip also going up early. We might actually see a second zip going just to give them additional options as well. Speaking of, here's Myth, one of your final top 3 squads here now on the low ground as well.
And you can see it is looking like Outsiders. Obviously, Myth and Gambit, who are holding this in, the last 3 to be able to fight for this first place. Broken shield onto the Gibraltar. 38 damage on the purple as well. The wingman firing on, but no skull piercers, so the headshots will have to do by themselves, Brav. A zip line looking to be set up across, just the zip line juggle and stay in the air. Gambit in this corner, but the high ground. It's a difficult spot. They're gonna have to drop, but they just want to do it with the right amount of pressure. They don't have it yet. And meanwhile, Outsiders just waiting to take a portal potentially and run outside to get involved in this final circle.
Absolutely. Myth knows they need to be careful here, fighting against Gambit with that height. And as you said, Outsiders is going to need to make a quick transition outside from that low ground interior. These are your final 3 squads. 30 seconds left on the clock.
Little tick of damage there as well. And it's just going to be.
We got to also mention here, Rain.
Yeah.
We got to mention Outsiders and Gambit, by the way, in your top 4.
Yes.
Big moments
so
for them in
here.
these final battles.
Looking at it, the Into the Void goes in with the portal as well. Gets hit by the Watson fences, and that spells trouble, but they still have 5 seconds left. Going to take a tick of damage. Maybe start the free heal as well. Outsiders looking down, and Myth, they lose 1. It's Oxbow and Sherp to do it. They've got the big boy Gibraltar shield. How much weight can he carry for the squad here? 2 go down. It's Outsiders. It's Myth. They're 19th, but they're hoping for a miracle win here. They land Harvester. Can they keep it? No, it is not going to be them. It seems like Gambit from the high ground will clean it up and take the victory in this final game, and that certainly should give them a chance to go first in this
Ready for
leaderboard.
you. There it is. As we saw, Gambit Esports took the first place with 9 kills. Myth coming in second, and Outsiders coming in third. What's interesting, Jayla, is this: did we see a different team placing in that first place spot every single game?
I believe so, and also we didn't see Myth place second. Like, we didn't see Myth place top at all. Myth was actually towards the bottom. So it's interesting to see how they came out and gave it their all in the very last game, even though it might not change much for them.
Definitely. Well, it is time for the moment of truth, the final standings. Who came out in first? It is Gambit Esports. They just had a phenomenal showing. You know, a lot of eyes were on Dead inside, bringing up the second place finish. And of course, they played very, very well, but I almost feel like maybe Dead inside was just a little bit top heavy. They gave it their all a little too soon. And while they played well, second is nothing to sneeze at, still I'm sure they were kind of going for that first place finish. And then in third place, Outsiders with 48 points. As a reminder, these top 3 spots are going home with some of that cheddar. And the top 10 are all heading on to the Super Regional number 2. They have automatically qualified. Let's take a look at the kills leaderboard and see which teams got the most kills and which players, got the most kills overall. Jayla, what about this list surprises you?
I'll start with what's not surprising is the confidence that that BTX had. I believe, the confidence that they had is definitely backed up in the number of the kills they got. We have them placing number 1, one of the teammates placing number 1 for kills. We have Taxi at number 6 for kills. So I am not I'm not surprised at all by the placement on the kills at all. Like they all place top 20 for the kill leaderboard. Definitely backed up by their skill.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of really talented players here coming out, and as we can see